to welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, here where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Heritage Hill that you'll find in Pompey on Sweet Road out in the rolling hills of central and upstate New York at Heritage Hill Brew House. And you'll also find Heritage Hill North on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York, right there at Sweetheart Corners. So both sweet Road, Sweetheart Corner, historic and local. And make sure you head out to Heritage Hill today and let them know that Wake Up Call sent you, or you can say DT sent me your way. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Appreciate you being here on Wake Up Call every Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And you have the opportunity to find us up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the world by simply going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt or to facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're connected with the show, we thank you so much for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora today, where sports meets life. We got an awesome show set up for you inside of MaandPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. And by the way, Ma and Pa's is the snack capital of the world, in my opinion. And you can go to Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York today. And when I talk about it being the snack capital, they have so many flavors of popcorn, kettle corn. They have their premium corn. And on top of all of that, they now have freeze-dried candy. And you will find so many awesome freeze-dried specialties. All that favorite candy that you grew up with, the freeze-dried flavors give you all of that you had in your childhood or candy that you're eating right now. I mean, you could be a kid right now saying, hey, I really like this stuff. And then you go and get the rainbow rounds and try those, or the flavor bursts. And I'm telling you right now, folks, once you try the freeze-dried candy at Ma and Pa's, you're going to want to buy it all. And they have chocolate-dipped pretzels. They have chocolate-dipped Oreos, as well as cotton candy, their lemonade, and everything is made right there at Ma and Pa's. So go to 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York today, and let them know that DT sent you their way. So you can say Wake Up Call sent me, or you could say DT sent me, either one. So thank you so much for everybody that's been out there. Inside of Ma and Pa's What's Poppin', we're going to start things off as we always do on a Friday with the Annoying Moment of the Week. The Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by the fantastic team at Carvel DeWitt. And then we're going to jump into LEAD. Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver is what the acronym LEAD stands for. And we will, which is proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. Today's topic is going to be What If? And then we'll jump in hour number 2 to the Top Dog of the Week. Top Dog of the Week, proudly presented by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, both of East Syracuse, right off of Bridge Street. And then at 10:20 a.m. Eastern Time, you see the College Football Playoff logo and the Bowl Season logos. That's because the College Football Playoff expansion has put out their official schedule for the first ever College Football Playoff that will have 12 teams in it. And so we're going to go over that schedule, as well as take a look at Bowl Season, as all of the bowl games have been announced for 2024-25. And their dates and locations have been announced. And we'll do all of that with Jason Lucas, who is a sports and entertainment vet, and he'll be here with me on the broadcast at 10:20 a.m. Eastern Time, so about an hour from now. So with that being said, let's hop into the Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by the fantastic team at Carvel DeWitt.
Dan Tortora proudly brings you...
Is that for real? Are you kidding me?
The Annoying Moment of the Week.
I really, honestly, I don't know how to respond to this.
Presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street. It's what happy tastes like.
Do you have to be that crazy? I guess so. The Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. It is what happy tastes like, and I am always happy to bring you the Annoying Moment of the Week. My Annoying Moment of the Week, I was thinking about this, and it just kind of came to my mind of something that really to me is annoying. And we see commercials for this stuff all the time. And these commercials are ridiculous. And they're disturbing. What am I talking about? I'm talking about when you look up and see when there's really anything, any type of medicine, right? They start the commercial. There's a bunch of people smiling. Usually the grass is green. They're walking somewhere. And it's like, do you have irritable bowel syndrome? Well, we have the perfect medication for you. And then they name some crazy medication. They're like, Zaffaril. And I'm making this up. So if it's real, my apologies. It's like, Zaffaril. For those of you that have constipation or irritable bowel syndrome, if you take Zaffaril, please make sure you're not pregnant. Please make sure, and it's like Zaffaril's, they're sitting there, they're like, Zaffaril for irritable bowel syndrome and constipation does have side effects. The side effects for Zaffaril are internal bleeding, sudden death, headaches, backaches, nasal congestion, loss of limb. you're sitting there like, I'm gonna keep the irritable bowel syndrome. I'm gonna be good with that. I don't want it, but I'm gonna keep it. And I think about this all the time. Like, we're smart, right? Are we not a smart race? Maybe don't answer that. But people are intelligent. We have scientists out there that have done a lot of work over a long period of time. Why have we not created medicine that doesn't have outrageous side effects? How have we gotten to a point where we still can't make anything that doesn't have horrible, horrible side effects? You know, you hear these, I mean, I just tune stuff out now. When I see those commercials come on, I just tune it out because I know the side effects. See, I don't like taking medication in general, but the side effects are so disturbing that it's like, yeah, you know what? I think whatever this person has, they're going to keep because of everything else that comes along with it. It's like, hey, do you want to know? Like, it's like, do you want to get rid of what you have? And people are like, yeah, I do. And they're like, okay, well, in order to get rid of what you have, I got to give you 12 more things. How do you feel about that? And then you got to take a medication to deal with that. If you take a medication for irritable bowel syndrome or constipation, now you got to take a medication to get rid of the migraines that it causes. Then when you take the medication for the migraines, now you're going to have an issue with internal bleeding. Now you got to go to the doctor and figure that out. And they're going to give you a medication to take this. And then it could cause high blood pressure. So then you got to take a medication for lowering your blood pressure. Before you know it, you got a bunch of medications that you wouldn't have to take if not for the medication that you started with. Because we're a pill-popping society, and drug companies make a lot of money off of us, which is horrible. But that's where we are. I don't like taking this stuff. I don't like anybody having to take medication because of what it can do and how it cripples you. Just absolutely cripples you. So, to me, that's the annoying moment of the week. And how about this? What do they always say? Don't take Zaffaril. Like, whatever the medication is, don't take Zaffaril if you're allergic to Zaffaril. Do you really have to tell people that? Hey, if you're allergic to flowers, don't eat them. Really? You know what I mean? I mean, I understand that there was a woman who sued McDonald's years ago because they handed her her coffee and her coffee burned her hand and it didn't say caution hot on it. So now the lids have to say that the coffee's hot because the lid didn't say the coffee was hot. This idiotic person was like, oh, well, you know, that my coffee burned me, so I can sue because there's no warning. Do you know on a Pop-Tarts box, I think it says to not cook the Pop-Tart with the covering on it, like the wrapper that it comes in? You have to literally tell people, don't make the Pop-Tart with the wrapper on it still. You morons. Like, but see, that's the thing. People, the get-rich-quick scheme, right? do anything in their power to try and make money. Hey, this place didn't give me a warning. I can sue. Even though the reason why I burned myself is because I'm an idiot, I'm going to go ahead and find a way to get around this and take advantage of this big corporation and try and get some money. That's another annoying moment. But I mean, watching these, I can't watch whenever a commercial comes on for a drug. The side effects are so insane. Headache, loss of bowels, panic attacks, suicidal thoughts. You're taking a medication for, you pick, taking a medication for allergies. And they tell you that a side effect is suicidal thoughts. That this medication that you take that goes into your body can affect the neurons and transmitters and things going on in your brain to tell you that you want to kill yourself. I mean, when we listen to the side effects of these drugs, are we not terrified that these drugs were created with a side effect that can get into your brain and give you thoughts of suicide? That's insane. So if they can do that with a drug, then could they do that with anything? Could they create something that makes people think things and say things and do things? If you can get something that if you can give somebody something with the side effect that it might get in your brain and start talking negative thoughts to you, that's absolute insanity. You can make this like negative zone Jiminy Cricket that gets in your head and goes, hey, you should jump off this cliff because you took this drug for high blood pressure. That should disturb you. It should make you really think about life and about what you're putting in your body. Now, sometimes we have to take things, right? But I saw a post yesterday. It was a GIF. I call them GIFs. Some people call them GIFs. I'm not going to call them a GIF. I'm going to call them a GIF. If you don't like it, I genuinely don't care. And so the GIF that I saw, it had two windows. There was two windows next to each other and somebody standing at each of them. And there was a line for people joining a gym and working on their wellness and their health. And then there was a line for people going to the hospital. And the line for people going to the hospital was long and just people going through the line, just person after person. There was nobody in the line for health and wellness. And what we're talking about this morning in the annoying moment of the week makes me think about that, right? If we took care of now there's certain things that we can't control, right? There's certain things you can't control. Like there are things that happen, right? My dad having Meniere's, which is this thing that throws off your equilibrium and it kind of just like messes with your eardrum and makes you dizzy. It's not going to kill you. It's just something that comes and goes. You can regulate it, but they couldn't figure out what it was forever. But, you get something like that, you might have to take something, right? People go through cancer treatments. You got to take something. And it's sad that there are situations where we have to take something, but, our bodies struggle with fighting certain things off. My problem that I have is we want to go take, we want to get better. We want to get healthy. So we have to take medication at times. And this medication, what it does to you, like people tell you when they have cancer treatment, right? When they go through radiation and whatnot, they're like, I have to literally put poison in my body to take the poison out of my body. I have to ingest poison to defeat poison. And my thing is, why can't we create something that's not poison that can take the poison out? Why do we have to fight poison with poison? Why do we have to do something like that? And that's the conundrum, right? That's the hard part, is that we want to get healthy, but in order to get healthy, sometimes we have to hurt ourselves in a way. Jerry said all the stuff that I'm on would floor a gorilla. Got to do it though. And that's the thing, is that and I consider it an annoying moment of the week because it's insane to hear some of this stuff. But at the same time, there's people that have to take it. I mean, think about this. Zoloft is a common drug, right? It's a common drug. It's something that a lot of people know what it is. I'm just going to read, because there's been like commercials about this and whatnot. I'm going to read you the side effects of Zoloft. Nausea, loss of appetite, diarrhea or indigestion, increased sweating, tremor or shaking, agitation, change in sleep habits, including increased sleepiness or insomnia. So you can either get really sleepy or not be able to sleep. Those are polar opposites. Sexual problems, including decreased libido and, I'm not going to read that one, feeling tired or fatigued, anxiety. Right? So you're going to take something to try and help you with depression, trying to help you with regulating your negative thoughts and feeling down. And by trying to regulate that, you could now have a tremor. You could now have problems in the bedroom. You could now be unable to sleep. We're going to try and get rid of your depression, but now you're going to have insomnia. We're going to try and get rid of your depression, but now you're going to have anxiety, and you're going to feel tired all the time. We're going to try and get rid of your depression, but you're not going to be able to eat. And when you do eat, it's going to go right through your body. And I'm using Zoloft as an example here. I'm not trying to attack Zoloft. I'm literally just looking up a pill that people know. But why can't we make things that don't do this? I understand there's side effects to things. I understand people's bodies are different. But are we not smart enough as scientists? And I'm not trying to knock the scientists that are out there. I'm just asking a question. Are we not smart enough to make something that can decrease something bad without giving us more bad things to deal with? Have we not found a way for that? In order to get rid of your one problem, we're going to give you 7 new ones. That's why I pray to God I don't ever have to take medication. I pray to God. I pray that you don't. I pray that nobody does. I just feel terrible. My grandmother, she wouldn't even take Advil. And later on in life, she had to take some things. And after she passed away, we found a bunch of her pills hidden all over the house. The ones that she pretended to take. My grandmother lived to be just shy of 101. And though she had a light form of dementia, she was kind. She always knew me. She always gave me advice. She always made me laugh. And though she had some tough moments, they were moments. And there were different things that happened, but she was never violent, thank God. And, taking the pills that she took, I'd love to talk to her right now and say which ones worked and which ones didn't. So if, gosh forbid, I have to take them down and I got to take them later in life, you can help me to know which ones to take and which ones to hide in the house. But, she was born toward the tail end of World War I. She lived through World War II, the Great Depression. So many wars after that. And, she fought through. She was tough. And I look at this stuff and, these you see these commercials now. You know what makes me really not want to take a vaccine? When you have celebrities promoting it, because that feels very Hunger Games to me. Oh, take this. I mean, I saw one recently where it was like this like disease that sounds totally made up. It was like, hey, did you know that you can get, and there was this like random crazy word thing, and this guy's like 60% of people get it, and I'm like, 60% of people get this? I've never heard of this. And it's like, well, we got a vaccine for it. And it's like, did you try this new vaccine from this company? Did you try this new vaccine? You got John Legend singing about a vaccine. You got football players going, hey, I get the vaccine. You got singers and this, and I'm just thinking to myself, when Hollywood starts pushing a vaccine, it's the last thing I want to put in my body. And because why are we commercializing this, right? Why are we pushing this? And again, I mean, you had, and yes, COVID is a very real thing, and COVID affected my family, and thank God my cousin came home from the hospital off the ventilator. It is a very real thing, and I think it's a very opportunistic thing, and I just can't fathom a human being or a company that would take advantage of fear and doubt and confusion and ignorance. But we're here, Drug companies make a lot of money. They're big business. And I want to believe that drug companies were created to cure and expand life expectancy, extend it. I want to believe that, insurance companies are there to protect you when something happens to your house or happens to you or happens to a loved one. I want to believe all that. But I did Hurricane Katrina relief. And they told us when they went into a house, when the insurance companies went into the house to assess the damage, these poor people can't live in their homes. They can't live in their homes unless they want to get sick, potentially. They can't live there. The insurance company comes in, and if they had water coverage, they said it was wind. If they had wind coverage, they said it was water. If they had water and wind coverage, then they didn't give him the money. I think one guy said he applied for like $17,000, and they gave him $3,000. How's he going to find the other $14,000? Here is an absolute natural disaster that wreaked havoc on so many people. And after it all, the insurance company's like, you're out of luck. We're not giving you money. You think we're going to help you? Thanks for paying us these premiums all these years, but we're not going to give you what you need. We have been told throughout our lives that we need to have homeowners insurance, car insurance, health insurance. But when we really need to use it, they find ways to not pay for things. And they scare you into saying, like, well, what if you get cancer someday? Right? You haven't needed health insurance in 25 years. But what if in the 26th year you get cancer? What are you going to do? You're going to need us. I was in the hospital a few years ago. And I stayed overnight. I was there for like a day and a half, maybe 2 days. And my bill was, I don't even know, it was like $15,000. I think it was between like $12,000 and $17,000. They ran EKGs. They put like an IV and like monitor stuff on me. And they ran a catheter thing to check my heart. They put me in a nice room that I didn't ask for. I appreciate it, but I didn't ask for it. It's like a $17,000 to be there for maybe 48 hours. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And we live in a society that this is what it is now. You know, this is what it's been. If God forbid you need help, we're going to punish you for it. And it's funny to watch these commercials and see these outrageous side effects. But at the same time, it's disturbing to know that those are the side effects. If you really are struggling with migraines and you listen to the side effects of the migraine medication, you might as well just say, you know what, I'll struggle through and try and figure out this migraine. See if I can get better here. See if I can do something on my own. And, you know, I mean, I don't envy anybody having to take this stuff. How about this? Migraine medication can cause stomach, abdominal pain that is severe or doesn't go away, severe dizziness, fainting, vomiting that looks like coffee grounds, black bloody stools, ringing in the ears, loss of hearing, irregular or fast heartbeat. So somebody this morning that's got a migraine goes to take a medication and it says it may cause vomit, not vomit, vomit that looks like coffee grounds. How does that happen? Oh yeah, we can make your vomit look like things. Some of you, you know, go to the bathroom and a flower comes out. I mean, this is just, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's asinine. And it's annoying that people have to deal with this. It's annoying that we haven't figured out a better way to help people get better without making them get something else. Vomit that looks like coffee grounds. I had to read that. While I was looking at this, I'm like, that doesn't say that. Vomit that looks like, how can you change what that looks like? We watch these movies where like people like vomit out like locusts and you're like, oh my goodness. It's a plague. God is coming back. And it's like, so if you have a migraine, you might look like a plague is upon us. You never have to buy coffee again. I guess you got to have Maxwell House and Folgers on alert. Like, hey, you know, do you have migraines? No, I just don't want to pay for coffee. So I vomit out these coffee grounds and everything's cool. And I clean it off in the sink and nobody ever asks questions when they come over for a party. And I didn't have to buy a Keurig, Dan, so a win's a win. With that being said, the annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. When you do want to do something nice for yourself and when you do want to know what happy tastes like, head off to Carvel DeWitt today, and they bring you the annoying moment of the week, but we always spin it back to a positive, which is the fact that Carvel DeWitt's the longest standing franchise of Carvel in America. In the continental United States, they have served this community for over 6 decades, and you can go and see them today on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. We'll be back from the Heritage Hill Studios with Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver right after this. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the tastes of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here from inside of the Heritage Hill Studios Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, you can go and visit Heritage Hill by going out to the Brew House in Pompey on Sweet Road in the beautiful landscape. I call it God's paintbrush. Absolutely beautiful, wonderful sights out there. And just a great place to watch music, to have some brunch, to just sit with friends and family. Heritage Hill in Pompey at the Brew House. Make sure you head out there today. And to their newest location, Heritage Hill North, which is the exclusive home of our CNS North Stars broadcasts with student athletes, coaches, and administration on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York. It is now time to jump into LEAD, which is the acronym that I created by the grace of God back in 2019, right before COVID. And I say that because it was perfect how it all came together. And it was a message before we knew we needed the message. And that's learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver. That's what LEAD stands for. And proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, this segment today focuses our learning, our evolution, our ability to ad-lib and deliver on our promises on the topic, what if? What if? We ask this question all the time. What if? Jerry's saying Celtics. We'll talk about that, sir. Congratulations on Game 1. But what if? Right? Do we ask what if in the positive sense? Or do we ask it in the negative sense? Do we say, hey, what if all my dreams come true? What if this is the one? What if this is the step that I needed to get to where I want to go? Do we use what if in that sense? Or do we say, what if this doesn't work out? What if they cheat on me? What if my boss doesn't like me? What if this home is not a good home? What if this is not where I should be? Are we what-ifing positively or negatively? Because what if establishes us saying what's going to happen next? What if this occurs? What if this is being said? There are some of us out there, guilty as charged right here, that have lived our lives, and I work to not do this anymore, that have lived our lives fearing all of the roads that could be created. Fear, doubt, and worry have never solved a problem. Fear did not solve a problem. Abraham Lincoln didn't say, we're going to stand against this because I'm afraid. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't say, I want equality because I'm worried and shaking in the corner. Doubt. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb going, I doubt this is this. I doubt I'm going to be doing. If he doubted himself and doubted his ability, he probably had times where he was frustrated. But if he kept saying, I doubt this is going to work, I doubt this is going to work, that self-talk is negative, and that negative self-talk will make you quit. And that word makes me sick. What if? What if? How do we say what if in our lives? Are we saying what if in a positive way? Or are we saying what if in a negative way? You know, there's a song called What If, and it's by Kane Brown. And it's all about switching the negative to a positive. The lyrics are, you say, what if I hurt you? What if I leave you? What if I find somebody else and I don't need you? What if this goes south? What if I mess you up? You say, what if I break your heart in two, then what? Well, I hear you, girl, I feel you, girl, but not so fast. Before you make your mind up, I gotta ask, what if I was made for you and you were made for me? What if this is it? What if it's meant to be? What if I ain't one of them fools just playing some game? What if I just pulled you close? What if I leaned in and the stars line up and it's our last first kiss? What if one of these days, baby, I'd go and change your name? What if I loved all those what ifs away? This song stuck with me because, yes, it's about love, but it can be about anything. It's about turning a negative what if to a positive. The next verse, what if the sky falls or the sun stops burning? We could worry about them what ifs till the world stops turning, or I could kiss you. What if you liked it? Well, we ain't never going to know unless we try it. What if I was made for you and you were made for me? What if this is it? What if it's meant to be? Taking a negative what if and making it a positive. So, what's your what if life like? How do you what if? Do you say, what if I get sick and I die someday? What if my roof blows off my house? Or do you say, what if the person I just met is the love of my life? What if I have the opportunity to achieve everything I've ever dreamed of and more? You know, that self-talk is so important, and I know that because I've lived it. I've lived the positive self-talk, and I've lived the negative self-talk. And how you talk to yourself determines your health in a lot of ways. It really does. how you talk to yourself. Because how you're treating yourself and how you're thinking, it has an effect on everything. And I was told a long time ago that controlling your thoughts, right? Getting control of your brain as opposed to your brain controlling you. That your brain is powerful and your brain can control you, or you can control your brain. And it takes work, and it takes discipline, and it takes self-talk, and it takes really honestly things that I think work for each individual, but it's something that I think you really can't live well without. Which is getting control of your brain. Your gut is going to tell you the truth. It's going to tell you the truth. I think it's connected to your soul. Your gut is going to tell you the truth. Your heart, your heart is very genuine. But your thoughts, those are the things that, like your heart, like my heart as a little kid and my heart now as a man has been put back together, but it's been through a lot. My mind remembers everything it's been through. My heart is like, yeah, but you know what? Like, I'm here. I'm innocent. I'm a kid. I want to love, My heart is the one that's open, right? And your mind is the thing that's not necessarily closed. I guess sometimes, yeah, but your mind is the thing that's more skeptical. You see all those movies about Santa Claus, and the kids believe in Santa Claus and the adults don't, because the more years they've spent on the earth, the more they've been exposed to, and they've been exposed to other people and places and things. And the more that you're exposed to, the higher probability that you meet something negative or somebody negative. And it's affected them to the point where they don't have that belief in miracles. They say when you're a little kid, you can remember heaven. That when you're a baby, you can see it. That when you're a little kid, you can talk about it. And as you get older, you forget. It's kind of like Peter Pan syndrome, right? When Peter Pan is young, Peter Pan believes he can fly. He believes in the Lost Boys. He believes in Tinkerbell. And as he gets older in that movie Hook with Robin Williams, he forgets that he's Peter. Because he goes into the world and he starts to work. And, he's in the hustle and bustle and a bunch of people that don't believe in anything except for punch in, punch out. And he forgets who he is. And he has to re-find himself. He has to learn how to crow. And I think we all have to... I don't think that you really are loving to your fullest and living to your fullest if you're not keeping that kid spirit and following your heart. My brain was not the driving force in me starting my company. I had 27 cents in my pocket. I had $103 in my bank account. I was living with my grandmother, taking care of her. She was in her 90s. I think she was 91. Podcasting was something that people didn't understand. They thought internet radio was stupid and ridiculous and was never going to work. Logically, I didn't know a lot about the move I was making. But inside of every fiber of my being, in my heart was like, you got to go be you. You got to go do this to the best of your ability. My heart told my brain, I know what I'm doing. So get on board. And my heart's done that recently. My heart's told my brain, like, hey, I know who I am and I know what I'm doing. So you might not like everything you hear and you might not like everything you see, but you need to get on board. Because my heart can see through things. Sometimes your brain just sees the information. Do you ever run into somebody where they say like they're book smart, but they're not street smart? That's like your brain versus your heart. Your brain will tell you, this is what I've read, so this is all there is. Your heart will say, but there's so many books out there. And there's books that haven't been written about things that people haven't experienced yet. Or maybe they have, but they haven't written it yet. Or they didn't experience it just like you. Your heart will tell your brain, yeah, there's information you can read, but no book is going to tell you completely how to live life. And that's why the two have to work together. Because the brain will tell you, like, I need sleep, I need water. You know, your brain will tell you, like, there's certain things we need to do, right? You may not want to pay your bills. You may not want to get up in the morning and take the trash out. But your brain's like, well, if we don't, there's repercussions and there's consequences. So you need your brain. But your heart, in my opinion's got to be your guide. It's got to be your guide. Because everything that I have in my life that means something to me came from my heart. It did. When I made a decision to move back from Florida to New York, there were not any clear thoughts on my mind that logically were like, yeah, this is what we're going to do. The logic of moving to Florida in the first place, there were things that came into place, but I took a leap of faith. I took a leap of faith when I went to Florida. I took a leap of faith when I moved back to Pennsylvania. I took a leap of faith when I moved back home. I took a leap of faith when I started my company. I took a leap of faith when I applied for my LLC. And trusting somebody. I took a leap of faith with everything that matters in my life. I took a leap of faith. I took a leap of faith when I decided that my marriage was not a place I wanted to be in anymore. After everything that I had been through and everything I had endured and everything that it had done to me and brought out just sadness in me and anger in me, I was like, I have to take a leap of faith. I could have stayed. A lot of people stay. Some people stay married because they're terrified of what else they'll find. Yeah, what I have is bad, but I could have worse. And you know what? When I got divorced, I did find worse. I did find worse. Or maybe not worse, but just other versions of not good. I did. I'm not going to lie to you. I never have. I have found bad after making a decision that was good. And that would make some people mentally go, oh man, I should go back in time and I should stay. No. What if I stayed? What if I never got married? What if I never started my business? If the what if question was negative and I listened to it, I would not be on the air right now. I would not own a home. I would not have a studio. I would not have an office. I would not have my dog Lily, who's my daughter and my heart, and I love her. I would not have started Superpowered Pop. I would not have started Comic Book Trails. I would not have started Two Mics No Filter. I would not have started Do Diz with Dan. Your what ifs can talk you out of anything, or they can talk you into something. So the question that I leave you with today is, what if you thought positively? What if that person that you fell in love with is the right one for you? What if your patience will pay off? What if the goal that you have in your life is about to finally show itself and turn a corner? What if everything that you have hoped for and dreamed about is about to happen? What if you're about to get that phone call? What if your perseverance and your patience is finally going to come through with something that you've been hoping and praying for? What if everything that you perceive as difficult is going to get easier today? What if God comes through for you? Think about that. We'll take a step aside for a fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. This has been Lead, proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. The acronym Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver. We'll be back inside the Heritage Hill Studios right after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We are here inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Heritage Hill with you on Sweet Road in Pompey at the Brew House out in the country, and in the city at Heritage Hill North on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse. And you can now find them in two totally different locations that are absolutely amazing and unique and have personality, which I love. Heritage Hill Brew House, love going out there over the years. Heritage Hill North, I love going there, love being there now. I love that it's so close to so many different places. You know, North Syracuse, Cicero, Clay, Liverpool, downtown Syracuse. It's not far from really anything. It's right by the airport, a couple minutes from the airport. Heritage Hill North, make sure you head out there today, and the Heritage Hill Brew House. and let them know that Wake Up Call sent you their way. Or you can say DT sent me. Inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com is what's popping. Next up, the top dog of the week. And coming up in just a few minutes, Jason Lucas, sports and entertainment veteran, is going to join me to speak on the college football playoff schedule release and the bowl season schedule release. We already know what the postseason is going to look like for college football for 2024-25 season that's coming up here in just a little while. Not trying to rush it, though. Want to enjoy all the time we have. I always pray for time to be long and fun and go by slowly in a good way for every single one of us in Jesus' most precious name. It's time for the top dog of the week. Top dog of the week, proudly presented by K9 Camp Dog Daycare and K9 Kampground Dog Boarding. You'll find the daycare and the campground both in East Syracuse, right off of Bridge Street. Very easy to get to. If you know where the BJ's is off of Bridge Street, it's on the other side of the street. Right as you're going over that hill, you make your first left if you're coming from BJ's, and you'll go to 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse for K9 Camp Dog Daycare. You can get in touch with them by calling 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110. You can also go to k-9kamp.com. That's k-9kamp.com for more information. And for the K9 Campground Dog Boarding for longer-term care for your wonderful member of your family that may be furry, but maybe not as furry as Uncle Ed. Who knows? You can go to K9 Campground Dog Boarding, and you can get in touch with them by calling 315-299-4013. They're on 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse. Their number, once again, is 315-299-4013. Please call them because each dog has their own cabin, and their cabins fill up fast. So if you know something down the road, call them now. Don't say, I got something in September, I'll call them in August. No, call them right now. Seriously, I'm not kidding. Make sure you do that. 315-299-4013. And their website is kampground.com. So make sure you head over there today. Top dog of the week. Who could I possibly choose to be the top dog of the week this week? For me, I got to shout out Misericordia. I got to give a big time shout out to Misericordia. And Misericordia University, it used to be College Misericordia. They're in Division III. They have 24 varsity sports, and they just won the baseball national championship. And I know about Misericordia University because they faced Marywood while I was at Marywood. And Misericordia, I want to put some information out here, let everybody know. Misericordia University will hold a rally to welcome home the national champions MU baseball team as they return from the Division III World Series. All members of the campus community, as well as the public, are invited to Tamber Field at 11 a.m. Friday, June 7th, today. So right after Wake Up Call is supposed to finish up here. So at 11 a.m. today, please be there to salute the team for their amazing achievement representing all of Cougar Nation. So to see College Misericordia turn into Misericordia University and winning the national championship, and somebody on that national championship, got to give this gentleman a shout out for sure. And that is the fact that I know one of the national champions on the team because, well, I've connected to him. Joe Comans. Joe Comans is from West Genesee, and Joe played at West Genesee. You know that I've done shows with the West Genesee Wildcats for almost a full 8 years at the Wildcat Sports Pub right over the hill from West Genesee High School. So Joe, coming from West Genny, I've had the baseball team there numerous times, and I've had West Genesee Athletics at the Wildcat, like I said, for almost 8 full years now on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, one of our long-term partners here on Wake Up Call. And to be able to not only see Misericordia University, which is a school that I know, win the Division III World Series against the entire country in Division III, but to see somebody from West Genesee be a part of that Misericordia University team and get to hoist that trophy as a national champion truly means a lot to me. So my top dogs of the week are Misericordia and Joe. I got to give it up to Joe and send him some love here and just an appreciation for that and how cool that is. How absolutely wonderful that is to be able to say congratulations to Joe and congratulations to Misericordia. Now, when we talk about these places, we talk about my connection to West Jenny and knowing Misericordia because Marywood went up against them. It brings me back to when Maine Endwell won the Little League World Series, and Maine Endwell, not that far away. I call him my adopted grandpa, my Grandpa Bill, who's up in heaven. God bless you, Uncle Bill or Grandpa Bill, and I miss you. My Uncle Bill's up in heaven too. And Grandpa Bill being up there, when he was here on Earth, he would talk to me about Maine Endwell and Union Endicott and how much, they mean to him. And that just hit home for me because it was so important to him. And to see Maine Endwell win, it just felt different, right? Because it's a team that And Misericordia, though I went to Marywood University, Misericordia is one of those teams that you felt like that. You're like, Marywood hasn't made it out there. These teams, you just thought like, is this conference that Marywood's in, are these teams on the national map? Division III, do people know who they are, where they are? And you just kind of like wonder, are any of these teams going to make it to national prominence? And Misericordia University did that because to you, it's kind of like that local feel, right? That's like your backyard. Marywood, where I went to school, my alma mater. And then you look at the teams that Marywood went up against and you say, okay, like this is like a known conference to me, but is this conference going to compete? It's kind of like when you see the Oswego State Lakers do what they do. Jason Leone has this team on the national map, making it to the brink of going to the NCAA Division III Final Four for men's basketball. And to me, I'm like, that's the school right down the street, right? That's the school that I've known for a while. And you just wonder, is that national prominence there, right? When a local team does it, when a team that's not even necessarily maybe local to you, maybe they're a few hours away, but a team that or a team that you covered, when something like that happens, it just sits with you different and it feels different and it's exciting and it's amazing and it's cool and you get that really good feeling when you see those teams win and you see those coaches and those players that So for Joe and for Misericordia, to me, they're the top dogs of the week because, look at what they've done. They're standing at the top of the heap. And Jerry just said, great baseball rivalry between Misericordia and Marywood. So, it's like, yeah, Marywood, my alma mater, didn't win the World Series, but to know a team that has history with Marywood has done that, it's great for Misericordia, but I feel like it takes like that whole group of schools in that area and just kind of puts them all together, right? And puts them out there. And for Joe, it puts West Genesee out there. And he's a grad student. So the fact that he got to go out there and do this in his grad student year is massive. So congratulations to Joe. Congratulations to Misericordia on being Division III baseball national champions. It's great. It's absolutely great. And they are members of the MAC. So, and this is a different MAC. There's so many MACs. So there really is. There's so many MACs. And but this Mac has a kind of has a roof over its logo, and it's the Middle Atlantic Conference. So there's the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, which is the MAAC. There's the Mid-American Conference, which is the MAC, and then there's the MAC in Division III, which is the Middle Atlantic Conference. And getting to see these teams excel and do what they've done it's huge. And you can't, you give respect where respect is due. And you give appreciation for that. And it's awesome. I'm definitely so proud for Misericordia, and I'm so proud for Joe. And I got to shout out Ross Turetsky. I call him my unofficial producer because of our connection, and he's always sending me information. He's always getting me like everything that I need and sending me over stuff and letting me know like, hey, this is going on right now. Stuff I don't even know that I need. So I can thank him, but I can never thank him enough for what he's done. And, he was the one that sent me over this information about what Marywood was doing and sent me over the information about Misericordia. And it's so appreciated. So I want to shout out Ross, because without him, I wouldn't have known about a lot of the stuff that was going on. So I got to shout out Ross as a top dog of the week as well, because he's always on his A game and he's always helping me out in the background of everything. So I want to put him at the foreground and show him that respect, because he should have it. So shout out to Misericordia University. Shout out to Joe from West Jenny, who's going to be on the show next week. And a big time shout out to everybody out there chasing their dreams. If you want to be a top dog, well, got to chase your dreams first, right? And there is nothing, in my opinion, that's unattainable. If you believe in yourself, and you believe in your talents, and you believe in what you can do, why would you ever think that you can't? You got to believe. You got to stay focused. You got to stay strong. And know that hard work, dedication, and determination, it might feel like it's not working. It might feel like it's not coming through. It might feel like it's impossible. But I'm here to tell you right now, building a company out of thin air, molding the air in front of your face, that's not an easy thing to do. But God and I did it together. Going to space is not an easy thing to do. But there's a Lemoyne graduate who did it, who's doing it. There's so many things in life that were considered once impossible. And there's a sign that's over my shoulder here in my studio that says, hope makes the impossible possible. Have hope, work diligently, believe, have faith, pray, love yourself, do what you love what you do, stay dedicated, stay determined, and use adversity as a teacher and a friend and not an adversary. And there is nothing that you cannot accomplish. God bless and much appreciation to Misericordia. Congratulations, to the national champions. It's so cool to see a known name in my life hoist that trophy, and to see West Genesee be a part of it. It's like being a proud big brother. God bless y'all. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. My top dogs of the week head out to Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding. Once again, for the daycare, 315-437-7110. And for the Kampground Dog Boarding, 315-299-4013. We'll be back in just a moment with my guy, Jay Bird Lucas. Jason Lucas is going to be joining me to speak on the college football playoffs expanded for the first time ever, the expansion to 12 teams. What does that schedule look like, and how much time is between the beginning to the end? Crazy. We're going to discuss that, as well as the bowl season. And did the Detroit Lions get their own bowl game? Well, it looks like it. We'll talk about it all after this. Maybe they just wanted to have an opportunity to see who they're going to draft. I have no idea, but hey, if you want to spend the money, they've said it before. If you want a bowl game, you just got to have the capital and you got to have a stadium. We'll talk about everything coming up with the postseason that we've already learned way ahead of time for the college football playoff and bowl season in general from the Heritage Hill Studios right after this. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the tastes of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Kampground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Kampground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Kampground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9Kampground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9Kampground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Kampground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. I appreciate you being here with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and I am also very happy to always get to welcome you from the Heritage Hill Studios, Heritage Hill Brew House out in Pompey, that you'll find on Sweet Road in the country, and you'll find in our beautiful city, Heritage Hill North at 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse at Sweetheart Corners. And look at who you'll find picture in picture with me right now. That's J. Bird Lucas, and he is here with me, the sports and entertainment veteran. This man's been in the sports and entertainment world for a long time, and I always get excited about the fact that him and I met through sports. We met through taking a chance on something, which was the Florida Tuskers, and to bring the world full circle, we took a chance on the Florida Tuskers back in like 2009-10 time, and now they were in the United Football League. You fast forward more than a decade, and the United Football League is back. So, you know, things find their way to just go through a process, and things are cyclical. And Jason and I, whenever I have the opportunity to see this picture in picture, I think about Jason. I always think about the fact that the best is yet to come, and that we will be doing some really cool things together in the future. I'm excited about it. Florida's my second home, and so he doesn't have to fight me to get me down there. And I know that there's a lot of good things to come. And maybe with collegiate athletics, maybe with something else, we shall see. But we're here today to talk about college football playoff as well as bowl season. Jay Bird, how we doing?
Awesome, buddy. Happy Friday. Welcome here to Florida, where it is only 175,000 degrees today. So we got a little bit of a cold front.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I was down in Florida. I know we tried to work something out the last day. And hopefully I will be seeing you soon, because it has been way too long. But down in Florida, I said a prayer because it was supposed to be almost 100 degrees. And I said, God, please just help it to be a little bit better, a little bit more manageable. And we had a breeze in Orlando almost every day. It didn't hit as high as it was supposed to hit, at least the first few days. And so that was good. I mean, we did hit 98 a couple times, but I was living in a world that I thank God was more manageable, because you think about it and people are like, it's May. How is it 100 degrees in May? But when I did Katrina relief in New Orleans in 2006, in May down there, it was 96 degrees and it was a dead heat. It's
swampy.
Yeah. There was no moving air. So I'm happy to know that you have a cold front. It's only 115 today. So I'm very excited for that. We're actually having, let's see what Syracuse has right now. We've gotten a little bit cooler because we were hot up here in Syracuse, and now we're going to have like some normal weather. So we're 70, 71, 69, 61, 67, 76, two 80s, a 74, and a 71. And our air quality is good right now, which is wonderful because my allergies stink when it comes to that stuff. But yeah, so I mean, if you want to have 30 degrees less, you should come to Syracuse.
Come on, kids, let's go. Summertime, so I'm buckled down these days.
Yeah, I mean, like, we have the snowbirds, and you should be a firebird and find your way up here and get out of the heat. So
the Albany Firebirds, what?
Yeah, there are, and there's the Phoenix Firebirds as well for our high school. But yeah, so we're here today to talk about the college football playoff. I want to bring this up here on your screen and let you see the schedule here of what it looks like. College football playoff has a first round now. These first round games will be played at the home of the higher seed. So, for example, whoever is the 5 seed is going to be the host to the 12. So this is what we're looking at. The top 4 seeds get a break. They don't play until the next round. So we would see 5 versus 12. Let me make sure I got this right. Is it 5 versus 12? And then 6 versus 11 and 7 versus 10 and 8 versus 9 is what we have. That's all in the first round here. And those games are going to be played on Friday, December 20th, Saturday, December 21st. There's 3 on Saturday, 1 on Friday. They're going to be played on ESPN, and TNT actually bought into this, so we'll talk about that in a second. Then in the playoff quarterfinals, we will have this year. Now, for those of you that are wondering here, the New Year's Six, those New Year's Six bowls that used to rotate in and out of the college football playoff, they're now always going to be in the college football playoff. They're just going to be rotating from the quarterfinals to the semifinal round. So who you see in the quarters and who you see in the semis, those bowl games are going to change. But now we'll never see the Cotton Bowl outside of the college football playoff. We'll never see the Capital One Orange Bowl outside of the college football playoff. All these bowl games that you see on your screen are going to stay within the root of who the college football playoff national champion is going to be. So in the quarterfinals, those are going to be played on Tuesday. We're going to see Tuesday, December 31st, Wednesday, January 1st is going to have 3 games. This year, we have the Verbo Fiesta Bowl that is going to be in the quarterfinals, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, which I've covered multiple times. Big time thanks to Matt Garvey and Gary Stoken and the whole team over there. The Rose Bowl and the All-State Sugar Bowl will all be part of the quarterfinals. So whoever wins the 5-12, 6-11, 7-10, and 8-9 matchups will move on to play the top 4 seeds in the quarterfinal round. Then whoever wins those is going to find themselves to the semis. The semis will feature the final 4 of the college football playoff, which is currently all we've ever gotten is 4. Now the 4 will come in the 3rd round of the college football playoff. This year, we're going to see half of that final 4 play in the Capital One Orange Bowl on Thursday, January 6th, or January 9th, pardon me. And on Friday, January 10th, we will see the Cotton Bowl with the other half of the Final 4. That will all lead to our national champion that will play on Monday, January 20th for the rights for the 2024-25 College Football Playoff National Championship Trophy. So, Jay Bird, we got it up on the screen. What are your thoughts when you see this?
Gosh, right now I'm kind of like, I really wanted this, but now I'm kind of like, oh no, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. That's a lot of football there for 3.5, 4 weeks. We're going all the way to January 20th, which means you're in like the semifinals almost of the NFL season.
Yeah.
So very interesting there. No, I think it'll be cool. I think it's probably about 20 years overdue. They should have done this a long time ago. And but let's enjoy it. We finally have it. We've all been bitching about it for years, so it's finally here. Let's be excited about it, and hopefully it works out for the best and we get some good football games out of it.
Yeah, when we take a look at this schedule, it's literally a month's time. The first game is being played on December 20th. The last game is being played on January 20th. So we have a full month of football here. Now, is it going that much longer? Not necessarily, because the first bowl game is right around December 14th. So we're starting at almost the same time as that first bowl game, 6 days away, 6 days after it, and then running through. We were going into January anyways, an earlier part of January, but we were still going to January to play the College Football Playoff National Championship when there was a Final 4. So to me, is this a crazy schedule that goes far beyond? No, because it doesn't reach back farther than the first bowl game, and it doesn't go that far more extended beyond. What I find interesting is when people didn't want to see this happen and they said, well, we don't want to see this because they're student athletes and how are they going to go to school and how are they going to get things done? Well, any of you that have gone to college know that you typically have Christmas break, that holiday break goes from the middle of December to the middle of January, usually around December 14th or 15th to January 14th or 15th. So this really covers that break time. And the other part of it is, do you genuinely believe that all of these schools are pushing education is the other question. I mean, Jay, we're not seeing, I mean, this is essentially them spending their entire Christmas break in the college football playoff.
Yeah, if you keep winning, you're going to be traveling, and you know, it's fun to travel. So I think they'll have a good time with it. I don't think it'll be too overwhelming. I think the only problem you might see come up is, you know, if one of your top 5 picks gets injured in one of these games, and then they'll start talking about the recovery time as well, you know, all the way to October, November, December of the NFL season. So hopefully everybody stays healthy, and hopefully you get the good football games that you're looking for out of it.
What's your take on the fact, like, I've gotten to know people from different bowl games here. I've covered different bowl games that we see up on the screen here right now that are part of the college football playoff, New Year's Six, including very recently the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl and the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. The fact that none of these New Year's Six are going to rotate out anymore, that they're always going to be in the path to the national champion, be it a quarterfinal game or a semifinal game. So next year, the Orange Bowl and the Cotton Bowl will rotate into quarterfinals, and then we'll see one of those 4 that are in the quarters become the semifinal, and then they'll rotate out, and the 2 that weren't in there, now they're going to be in the semifinal. So the fact that these 6 bowl games, of the many bowl games they are protected, that they will always be a part of the national champion for as long as this college football playoff contract lasts, that we know the Fiesta Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Peach Bowl, the Orange Bowl, and the Cotton Bowl. What's your thought on that and the fact that these New Year's Six are never going to rotate out like they have been, where they're either in the semis or out of it? Now they're going to be in it no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, that makes them super important. And, you know, what happens with your super important college football games is those ticket prices go skyrocketing. So
yeah.
I think you're going to, you know, if you're the big donor guy, you're looking at probably tripling your bowl budget every year, as far as, like, you know, maybe you spent $3 or $4 grand traveling to a game before, and now you're going to have to, if you're going to win, then you're going to have to do that times 3 or times 4. So depending upon if you're on the road in the first round and you make it all the way to the end, you're talking about 20, 25 grand probably just traveling to games if you're that guy that's got to be at every game. So yeah, that's cool. I mean, that does make them a lot more important. And, you know, that other aspect is just a lot more money is going to be spent on it, you know, per person. It's going to be quite the expense. You're in Super Bowl money there.
Well, yeah, and the thing is when you look at, I mean, college football, Mark Emmert, the former president of the NCAA, said during COVID in 2020, and I'm paraphrasing, but essentially he said, I have no control over college football.
Yeah.
I can't tell a conference whether or not they can play, and I can't tell an institution whether or not they can play. And as soon as he said that, I said, oh, so you're the president of nothing.
Wild, Wild West.
And the other portion of that is, when he says, I can't tell a conference, as the NCAA president, I can't tell a conference if they could play or not, and I can't tell an institution. Well, if the conference is number 1, the institution is below that, and then the coaches and the student athletes are below that because they play for that institution. If you cannot tell a conference whether or not they can play, or an institution whether or not they could play, then if Mark Emmert or any NCAA president decided to suspend a coach or a student athlete, why would I serve the suspension to somebody that told me that they can't stop my institution and they can't stop my conference? Then if essentially you have no control over the big picture, how could you suspend the small picture?
Exactly.
So Jim Harbaugh
So,
should have been like, yeah, I'm going to coach. What are you going to do about it?
yep. And it's just kind of everything they want now with, everything they're doing, the NIL, the sponsorships, where you're putting sponsor names on the field. Now they're talking about the patch on the jersey, like right here,
Yeah.
being able to buy that. So, yeah, it's college sports is now money driven and only money driven. We knew it was before, but now it's like whatever you want to do, you can do, and there's nobody to stop you from doing it.
So I mean, when we look at kind of moving forward here in college football, I mean, you've dealt with a bunch of different pieces of professional athletics and the sport of football, be it inside of arena football or in the different iterations of that, right? The different acronyms of what they've called it, but arena football. And you've dealt with, the United Football League, a professional league outside of the NFL. So you've seen these different elements, and you've also been around college football.
Yeah.
Where is the direction? Is there any direction to collegiate athletics with name, image, and likeness having little to no parameters, the transfer portal having essentially no parameters outside of the window? But the reality of it all in the transfer portal is you have no year in residency. Conferences could have said if you went in conference, this is what used to happen. If you transfer out of the school you were at, you had to sit out a year. That was called your year in residency. So if you went from Kansas to Syracuse for basketball or for whatever, you had to sit out a year, which means you really had to think about your decision because you couldn't play for that team. You had to sit and wait.
Yeah.
That year in residency, some conferences like the ACC said if you transfer from Syracuse to Duke or anywhere within this conference, you have to sit out 2 years. Not 1 year, you got to sit out 2. So you can have your eligibility, but you have to sit and you have to wait for it. So there was the 1 year in residency, then the conferences said 2 years in residency, and the coaches on top of all of this could hand you a list and say, if you want to transfer, not only do you have to abide by the year in residency or the 2 years in residency if you transfer in conference, we're not going to allow you as a Syracuse player to transfer to Duke, North Carolina, NC State. We're going to play Gonzaga this year. You can't go to Gonzaga. We're going to play Illinois this year. You can't go to Illinois. We're going to play Georgetown. We're going to play Villanova. And a coach can make an entire list. All of those parameters are gone.
Mm-hmm.
And you can now transfer as many times you want, wherever you want, as long as you have eligibility with no year in residency. And they did away with the 1 year in residency, but they said after the first time transfer, you had to sit out a year. Now the NCAA recently got rid of that. So you can go to 4 colleges in 4 years and play immediately. What is happening, Jason?
Well, I mean, I think what we call that is free agency. And that's pretty much what the players are able to do now is, hey, here I am. I had this much, here's my football resume. How much money are you going to pay me to come there? And that's why, unfortunately, we got Nick Saban out of college football now. Yeah. He said his wife always brought the recruits to the house on Sunday morning. They always had breakfast. They always talked to the kids about their future and what they were looking to build for them. And she looked at him one Sunday morning and said, why are we doing this? All they care about is the money. So that made Nick Saban actually retire. So at this point, you're looking at everything you've ever known about college football, basketball, especially baseball too. They can do it there as well. You're looking at it as, hey, it's just free agency, and you can't get too attached to the players like you used to. You had a guy, you had him for 5 years. You knew he was going to be a red shirt, then you knew he was going to probably stay his full 4 years of eligibility, or at least 3. Now you might have him for a season. So it just kind of is what it is now. It's, adapt or die, as we say at UCF with Gus Malzahn, because he has certainly been working that transfer portal like crazy with KJ Jefferson coming in to play quarterback from Arkansas. So super excited about that.
And I actually have I have a prop for that. I got to figure out where that prop is, but speaking of KJ Jefferson, I got to see if I can find that for you. I think I have it here. But the reality of this is what's crazy now. This is the irony. Remember how when you bought a jersey before, like you bought the jersey number and you knew who exactly you were buying, but that player didn't get any money for, like if you bought what was it, number 10, Mackenzie Milton.
Yeah.
So you knew it was a Mackenzie Milton UCF jersey, but Mackenzie Milton couldn't put his name on the back of it and he couldn't get any money for it. Now that we can finally put the name on the back of the jersey and get money for it, do you really want to buy the jersey knowing that they could be playing for another school the next year? So there's this weird irony of now we can finally buy the jersey of our favorite player with their name on it, but it's at a time where there's a high probability that that jersey a year later is going to be worthless.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not really in the jersey buying business anymore.
And I can
know,
understand why.
Yeah, that's I'll just buy a polo or buy a t-shirt for the school or whatever. But yeah, jerseys, nah. And when you see the guys that are all branding and you feel like you want to support them, but now you're like, well, he could be gone tomorrow. I mean, what Dylan Gabriel did to UCF 2 years ago was insane. He was selling socks all the way out the door to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people were buying these Dylan Gabriel socks and jerseys, and they were basketball jerseys, which was interesting as well.
Yeah.
Because he's a football player. But yeah, all the way out the door to Oklahoma. DG. Gone.
But I mean, that's the thing now is like now that you can. But here's the other question that I don't think we're talking about, because I called it free agency for the past few years, and you just echoed that. That's what it is. It's free agency. It's become more and more free agency. But what are we creating? Because when these players, let's just talk about football, when they go to the NFL, Trevor Lawrence doesn't play for the Jaguars in 2021, the Browns in 2022, the Chargers in 2023, and the Cowboys in 2024. That doesn't happen. So now that we're building this mindset of you don't have to have any loyalty to anything except for your money, we have already seen holdouts. We've already seen problematic times. We've already seen issues with people signing contracts and not abiding by them, signing a 3 to 4 year deal and 2 months in going, yeah, I don't want to be here anymore, so trade me, let me leave, even though I signed a legal document. Back in the day when you and I were kids, when you signed a document, whether you liked it or not, you were held to that document. In my world, for Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, if you sign a document with me, you're held to that document. So when we see the NFL now and we see these guys going, yeah, I signed it, and thanks for the $50 million for year one, but I don't want to be here anymore. Look at Aaron Rodgers. Waited and signed this big deal, and then he goes, I don't want to play for the Packers anymore. Take my money, give it to the Jets. Or how about you guys both pay me? And if I'm the Packers, I said it pretty plainly. If I'm the Green Bay Packers, I could have been like, love us or hate us, I can sit you, but I'm not moving around all this BS. You just held me hostage for all this money. Why am I going to... I've already answered your demands. Now I have to let you go play for another team and still pay you, you insane asylum of a person? Like, why would I want to do something like that? If we're creating college football free agency, which is even more wild than professional free agency, what are we teaching these student athletes when they do get signed by the Minnesota Vikings and after year one, it's already in their head that they can go transfer anywhere? So what if a Justin Jefferson said to Minnesota, thanks for drafting me, thanks for the rookie deal, I want to go play for the Browns. Then he plays for the Browns and tells the Browns, I want to sign a $30 million extension after 2 years. And then he signed the $30 million extension. And he goes, you know what? I kind of want to play for the Chargers. Just put my money over there. Then he goes to the Chargers and he goes, I don't really like Justin Herbert, so I want to go play for the Cowboys now. And then he gets to the Cowboys and he goes through training camp. I really don't like training camp. I'm going to play for the Ravens. Are we not creating people that essentially are going to think that the NFL, the NBA, the MLB owes them something, that they don't have to be loyal to their contracts? Because if they're learning free agency in college that is even more wild than normal free agency, and the contracts are already issues, there's already holdouts, there's already all of these problematic things in the NFL and the NBA and Major League Baseball, are we not teaching people to have less loyalty, less respect, and are we going to have more holdouts because of the nature of the beast that we've created?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everything you just brought up there got my mind thinking. And I'm like, what if instead of the NIL deals, which, a lot of them encompass $1 million or more, you're giving an 18-year-old kid, 19-year-old kid, $1 million to go play football at your school or whatever it is. If he's got a sponsor, whatever it is, NIL deals. What if you took 90+% of that money and put it in a 401k for the kid after college? That way, in college, he still has pretty much a normal college life. He maybe has a little extra money, right?
Yeah.
He still gets, maybe 100,000 of the million or whatever. So he's still got some money. He can still do some things, but he's not blowing the $1 million or $2 million, whatever it is. And then obviously in a 401k, you're going to get some interest on that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
maybe if they did something like that, where the kids don't get 100% of the NIL money right off the bat. And that way, whether they go to the NFL or not, because a lot of the guys getting NIL deals, maybe they're not even getting drafted.
Yeah.
So once you're done with school, done playing, then after that 4 years has passed, you get rights to, to break the 401k, to break into it, if that's what you so choose to do. Otherwise, you are set for life at that point because you have this 401k with north of $1 million in it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at it like this. Going off everything you said, it makes sense. And there's also people
Banker.
there's also people that have made the statement of to take the money and put it in an account that you can't take the money out unless you get your degree, or that there's a certain percentage of that money that gets locked until you get your degree. And I mean, what they're essentially doing, I mean, by doing any of the things that you said or what I just said, essentially what we're doing is we're bribing people to stay in college and get their degree because they don't fully understand that money handed to you is not going to build you a life, but your education and your commitment to a passion that you're going to be able to create into a job that is going to sustain you. See, people think short-sighted all the time. What's right in front of my face? And they don't think long-term. I didn't go to college so that I could get rich quick. I went to college so that I could get experience. I took advantage of my collegiate experience, and I became a professional while in college. I was broadcasting to Northeast Pennsylvania to tens of thousands of people on radio and TV when I was 18 years old, when I was a kid. And that professional experience gave me the opportunity to be able to showcase that to News Channel 9 and ABC affiliate, to Walt Disney World, to ESPN Radio. And then that catapulted me to getting that experience. And then that experience helped me to start my company. And then starting my company, I had all these things that I had gained, which has sustained me. And now I'm going to be a broadcaster in November of 21 years, serving for myself in my business 12 years next month. That doesn't happen if someone gives me $1 million, because that $1 million could have been spent on cars. It could have been spent on trips. It could have been spent on, meeting the right girl and having a crazy wedding. It could have been spent on a weekend in Vegas with Jay Bird. It could have been spent on anything. So I'm thinking about what you said, and I'm saying, let's say this person gets $1 million deal. Let's say this quarterback gets a 4-year, $1 million NIL deal, $250,000 a year. And you said 90% of it goes away. So 10% of that is $25,000 per year. My first job out of college paid me less than that. And I had an apartment, and I lived, and I did the things that I needed to do, and thankfully had some help from family. But you cannot tell me as a student athlete that you can't figure out a way to live on $25,000 when there's plenty of people in America far older than your teenage butt that are trying to live on $20,000 a year, $10,000 a year, food stamps, WIC checks. So I think taking $1 million 4-year deal and taking the majority of that money and putting it $75,000 a year and putting it away and putting it into a 401k, like you said, can these student athletes live on 25 grand? I think so.
Dude, when I was 25 years old, I lost a job and like the severance pay was like 12 grand. Actually, not 25. I was like 22, 21. Severance pay was like 12 grand. I thought I was rich.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I mean, 25 grand for your college years, that's awesome. But the important thing is when you get out of college, because what are most of these guys going to become? They're going to become fathers. They're going to have kids. They're going to have wives.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if they didn't blow all that money while they were in college? And, you know, NFL careers are, you know, I think the average NFL career is 4 years right now.
Yeah.
There's very few guys that last that 8, 9, 10 years in the NFL and get these nice big contracts. So to me, it just makes sense if we're going to try to teach them something. And if we're not going to do it, because now here in Florida, we had NIL just approved for high school students even.
Yeah.
So now you're talking about giving 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds that kind of money, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Let's teach them to be responsible. Hey, we're going to put this money into something for you. And that way it's sitting there when you're done with school. That way you do have a future after college. Because a lot of these kids, they don't teach you to be responsible. It's not their fault. There's nobody sitting here saying, hey, let's be responsible with this money. No, everybody's saying, oh, buy your mom a house right now. You know, you need to do all this right now. And then so you buy mom's house, you buy a nice car, and then there went the $1 million like that right now with the housing market. Are you kidding?
Well, and that's the thing, is like you said, you put this money away, and when they become a dad someday, or a mom someday, they have this money that's already, see, so many people don't plan for their future. So many people don't think about down the road. They think about right now. And I'm going to tell you this. If you hand a 17-year-old, a 16-year-old, 15-year-old money, some might put it away. Some want to. I mean, Rob Drummond, good friend of mine, played for Syracuse, played for Jamesville DeWitt, was born and raised here in Central New York, played for JD, went to Syracuse locally, went to the NFL, Philadelphia Eagles, went on to the CFL, won numerous championships in the Canadian Football League, had an illustrious career, and lasted far longer than the typical running back span, probably times 10. So when you look at what he's done, he told me back in the day, when he got his money, when he signed with the Eagles, his parents took that money, and they took a bunch of it and they put it away. They said, Robert, you were going to take this. You can have this much, but we're going to take this and put this here, and take this and put this here. And, you know, he's never told me that he's hurt for money. He's never told me that, you know, he wasn't able to live and this and that. So there's the reality of, you have to have somebody planning for your future. And I'm going to tell you all this right now. I'm not saying every, but I'm going to say some. Not every agent cares about your future. Not every person that you grew up with cares about your future. Not every fake friend cares about your future. MC Hammer had a lot of friends when he was rich. I don't know how many friends he had when he lost all of his money. Right. But that man had gold toilet seats and gold sinks. You were washing your hands on gold, and you were going number 2 on gold. That stuff is absolute insanity, but he had that money. And I tell people this too. When you take a kid who's got 20 cents to their name and you give them $20,000, they're not going to know. And if you're not educated, you're not going to know how to spend it. You're not going to know if you should spend it. You're not going to know to put it away. I always saved money as a kid. I would spend money, but I would save money. I still have 50-cent pieces my grandfather gave me when I was like 4. Yeah. And that stuff to me was like, get it, put it away. you don't spend beyond your means. But credit card companies rely on people that spend beyond their means because you think it's free money. You have to educate these student athletes. You have to educate these children. You have to educate them so that they're prepared, because if I take a football player, an offensive lineman, and I go, dude, you're awesome. I'm going to have you sign with White Castle. We're going to give you $100,000 a year. Every year you stay in college, you're going to get $100,000. Well, that dude that's coming and getting that thing with White Castle that's got $100,000, if he's never been educated in how to spend his money, if he's never been educated in 401k, if he's never been educated in the stock market, and he's coming from some south side somewhere where they had no money, and he's got a bunch of people pulling at his money, and he buys his mom a car, and he buys himself a car, and then he's trying to help this person, trying to help that person, and then he goes and has a party in Atlantic City. I've heard about guys that go into the NFL and spend their signing bonus of their first contract within a weekend in Atlantic City. So, you know what I mean? It's like, it's all well and good to hear about this money, but if you're not saving some of it, it's not going to mean anything. And all of these student athletes that are going to make these tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars and $1 million and whatever, they might be 30 years old back in the same neighborhood, broke, no job, no education, like they never went to college. And what do people say? Well, who cares about them? If they're not my quarterback at Arkansas anymore, I don't care what happens to their life. Well, I have this thing where I believe in God. So when I see that story, I care about that Arkansas quarterback, and I care about where he is and what he's doing and how his life is going. The NCAA has long taken advantage of the student athlete and made money off of their labor. So I believe that they should get something. But without any parameters, these kids are going to go to college and end college with no education, no money, no plan, no future. And it's going to be like they were ghosts when they were there.
100%, man. Like that, it's pretty freaking sad. And, I think the other side of things that people don't really talk about is how many NFL players end up broke. After their career, they've spent it all. They didn't get the 401k. And everybody's like, oh, the NFL should take care of them. But the NFL should take care of them right when they sign.
Yeah.
And have really serious conversations about the future of the money that you make in the NFL. Because the shelf life of an NFL career is 3 years. Because the beatings and the abuse these guys take from playing football year after year, their bodies are done after 3, 4, 5 years. And then, you've got guys still trying to play, still trying to do this and that. Look at Ric Flair, bro. Ric Flair, the greatest wrestler ever lived. He was still wrestling well into his 60s. Why? Divorce. Still wrestling, still putting his body through hell, bleeding and everything else, injuries, you name it. Why? Because of divorce. Things happen in life. There's so many things that happen in life. And to not be preparing these kids, especially 18 to 23, 24, 25 years old with all these COVID extra years they've been getting. But you've got to protect these kids. You've got to have somebody that's in that room saying, let's be responsible with this NIL money. Let's do the right thing with it. There's a lot of kids out there that I've been watching that are doing charitable things with their NIL money already. They're doing the right things. There's somebody in their ear saying the right things, but there's not somebody in everybody's ear. There's got to be somebody in every ear so that we're making sure they're doing the right thing for their future after school, after football.
Yeah, because the thing is if you give the education, if you have the classes, if you have the leadership, then it's on the individual's choice, right? If you don't present the information, if you do not educate and share knowledge and wisdom, then that's on you. But if you share it and somebody decides not to take it, that's on them. That's on them. What does a church ever say to you? No, our doors are closed. Can't come in here. Can't talk to Jesus. Jesus doesn't like you. No, the door's open. You walk in there, you pray. They don't force you to pray. They don't hold a gun to your head, tell you got to pray. They don't chain you to a pew, tell you got to pray. But they give you the opportunity to go and pray. And, my teachers Do we have knuckleheads in school? Every school does. But my teacher said, we are here to educate you. We're here to help you. Now, I had some bad teachers. I had some teachers that I have no idea how they ever got an opportunity to teach. I had a teacher when I was in the hospital was trying to find a loophole to keep me from graduating. Same teacher that took credit for all of the work that I did on a show that he didn't care about.
Right.
But looking at that one scenario or those three teachers versus all of the people, and looking at the fact that one teacher, Jay Hamrin, is the reason why I went to Marywood University. He was 70 to 80% of the reason why I went to that school was that one man. So, education, if you give it to people, not everybody's going to listen, right? We all know that crime is wrong. We all know stealing is bad. We know that murder is bad. We know that arson is bad, but some people commit it. So, but the education is that it's bad. The education is you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't go to a store and steal clothes. Some people do it, but the education is there that you shouldn't. So providing the education does not mean that we're not going to have some people fall through the cracks, but it hopefully alleviates the majority of the people from falling through the cracks, and then we put the onus on you. There is always going to be personal responsibility in life, but for the NCAA and for institutions and conferences to not be educating their student athletes on what they need to know, that to me is an offense. Because what do they say? Hate is taught, love is taught. Well, everything is taught, and the opportunity to teach them is right now. I didn't have it. I didn't have anybody teaching me how to take care of my money in high school. I didn't have people telling me how to take care of my money in college. I had to go to my parents. I was always a responsible adult. I was always a responsible kid for the most part. Like, I bought toys and this and that, but I was responsible to a certain extent. And I was growing up in a family where I appreciated everything and I valued things, and $5 to me could have been $500. It went a long way. Not everybody grows up in a family like that. So I think the NCAA has to have a blanket policy. Conferences have to abide by a blanket policy, and institutions have to abide by a blanket policy. And then you put the onus on the student athlete. Yeah, you might not want to care about any of this education or any of these classes or anything that we taught you. That's your choice. But we're not going to hand you money, let you go run around with agents, do this NIL stuff, and have no parameters, and then just say, well, we used you for a few years, thanks for that. Yeah, great, you were the Florida Gators quarterback, and now that you're not our quarterback, we don't care if you end up a drug addict in the street. You should care if that happens. That should matter to you. And, we've seen that happen. When there was a guy that played football at Syracuse that ended up on the streets and ended up dying within the last few years. And this is a guy who, when he was at Syracuse, the university loved him. The athletic communications department loved him. They put him on pictures. They put him on a card, or they put him here and they put him there. Who was helping him when he was on the streets of Syracuse? Was Syracuse University helping him? I don't think so. Was the athletic communications department helping him? I don't think so. Were people actually trying to help him get better? Maybe somebody was, maybe they weren't. But if I know anything about some universities out there, Syracuse included, when you graduate or you finish there, you're a stranger. Fran Brown is changing that, thank God. But I can't tell you how many student athletes have come up to me, no matter what their age is, and say, I love the city of Syracuse, but I hate the university because I don't feel welcome there. I've had people tell me as recent as last year, a bunch of alumni said, we will sit here in this parking lot and we'll have food with each other and tell stories. We don't feel welcome in the dome that we built, but we feel welcome standing in this parking lot. Fran Brown is changing that. But if it's happening in my hometown, how many colleges and universities are not taking care of their people and just using them as every 3 to 5 years, we just get everything we can possibly get out of you, and we sell and sell and sell, and we get tickets and we get merchandise and we sell hot dogs and we sell beer and we sell soda. And after you're done here with us, you don't matter to us anymore. These kids need to matter. And if they don't matter, then with all due respect to the colleges and universities, you should not exist if you're not going to take care of your people, because you were built to educate, you were built to teach, and you were built to help this world become a better place. If you are turning and burning student athletes like a turnstile, where as soon as they're not with you, they're no longer valuable to you because you're not making money off of them, you should be ashamed of yourself. And those people should be taken out of power to free up those jobs for people that are going to educate these student athletes, to let them know that 20, 30, 50 years after you leave our university, after you leave our college, you still matter to us. And if God forbid you fall in harm's way, we are going to do what we can to try and educate you and help you. Because if you are only using somebody for the benefit at that time for yourself, that stuff makes me sick.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that was going on. That's not good, but I know a few schools probably are like that. It's probably not just them, and it's probably, comes from the top, from the head coach. He's like, I didn't coach that guy, so who cares?
Yeah, and it's such a, and that's the thing, is it's like, when you see that happen, when I have to look into the eyes and hear the voices of someone who graduated 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when Joe Morris had never been on campus at Syracuse since he played at Syracuse until they gave him his jersey. I mean, Marvin Graves, we stood on the field together and he said, wow.
I remember him.
He goes, I haven't been here since I graduated. And I was like, Marvin, how long ago was that? He's like 20 years, 25 years. And then there's other universities like Tennessee where they honor their student athletes every year, and they have the current student athletes stand on the football field on both sides, and the former student athletes run through the tunnel, and they're greeted by the current student athletes on the field, so they get to run through the tunnel that they had run through before. Like, wow. And, I got somebody telling me there's 400 of us in Tennessee. And then at Syracuse a few years ago, they told the Syracuse honorees of the undefeated team that they weren't allowed to stay on the Syracuse side. They weren't allowed to be on the field. They weren't allowed to be around the Syracuse players. They made them go sit behind the Pittsburgh bench the day that they honored them for going undefeated.
Speechless. I got nothing to say. Like, you serious, Clark?
But that's the thing, is it's like, here's Fran Brown working to change this stuff. But if I'm Fran Brown, I'm looking at this university going, wow, how easy it is for me to make an impact, because they've been doing the bare of the bare minimum, if they've even been doing the bare minimum. So if I'm Fran Brown, I'm walking in here going, if I give a tiny bit of love to the alumni, I'm going to look like the guy that saved Syracuse history in football, because I just did a little bit. Like, the least amount of care is going to make these guys cry and appreciate stuff, which is really, really sad. But a guy like Fran, if he says what he means and he means what he says, he can change this place seemingly in a short amount of time just by shaking hands, making phone calls, and asking people if they need anything.
Yeah, you can. I mean, there should be somebody on his staff that's what they're responsible for, reaching out to the alumni and, having an event every week when you're home.
And that's why I want to thank Dion Maddox, and I want to thank Will Hicks for doing all the work that they've done with the alumni. But I mean, I'm talking about this locally, but in the bigger picture of things, Jason, what we're essentially talking about here today is you can have as many bowl games as you want. You can have the college football playoff expanded to whatever. You can have NIL, you can have the transfer portal, you can have realignment, but there's a reason why we didn't professionalize teenagers back in the day. And the fact that we're doing that now, think about who you were at 18, 19, 20, 21. College wasn't set up as a fluke experience. It was set up as a means to teach you about the real world before you went into it. It was like giving you a window, and then when you graduated and you got your diploma, that window became a door and you had to walk through it. If there is no college education, then you go from high school adolescence to the real world with no chance to learn about the real world while you're still being kind of protected from it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say my testimony is pretty simple as far as, credit and whatnot. Like I didn't even know how to how to use credit to my advantage. There you go. Until I sat down with somebody when I was like 31. Like, there's nobody sitting down with you when you're 17, 18, 19. There should be. It should be mandatory. There should be a class. There should be, even if it's a 2-week course on credit.
Yeah.
There's got to be something in place to teach you responsibility, because otherwise you're just going to blow through money in your life and you're not going to care what your credit score is because you're not going to know what it even means.
Yeah. And that's, how do you learn about your credit score? Ask your parents. How do you learn how to balance a checkbook? Ask your parents. What if your parents aren't there? What if your parent or guardian is working 3 jobs and doesn't have time? What if your parent or guardian is a drug addict? What if your parent or guardian dies? What if your parent or guardian has so many children and you're the 5th? And by the time they get to number 5, they're exhausted. The reality of it all is we rely and blame the home for not taking care of it. And yes, we should all come from good homes, and we should all be loved, and we should all be taught what we need to know when we're at home. But we're not all taught about God. We're not all taught about responsibility. We're not all taught about believing in ourselves. We don't all come from positive places. We don't come from safe neighborhoods necessarily. We don't all come from money where anything can be cured by just throwing something at it. So for a college or a university to say, we're going to take advantage of these kids, some of those kids that you're taking advantage of have been taken advantage of their whole lives. That's all they know. And so now they're going to take advantage of other people. What do they say? People that are abused become abusers. People that are taken advantage of take advantage. So there has to be somebody along the line. And I think what you said about Nick Saban is so sad, but so very important to the times, is when coaches and administrators and teachers forget that they sometimes have to be parents and guardians and siblings and aunts and uncles and friends. Some of these coaches are the only parents these kids will ever have. And if we are teaching them only about get rich quick, no personal responsibility, your word doesn't mean anything, signing a piece of paper doesn't mean anything, if nothing has value and all they're chasing is money, and these coaches and administrators and teachers are not becoming parental figures in their lives, some of these kids are never going to have a mentor. And if you're driving out Nick Saban and maybe, and I hope I'm wrong, but maybe Dabo Sweeney, who's going to be mom and dad to these kids that don't have one already?
Yep, you're losing your best teachers, unfortunately. It's driving out all the best teachers in the game. And I hope I'm wrong on that. I hope everybody decides to stay and everybody kind of adapts to what it is. But yeah. I think somewhere in that adapting, there needs to be responsibility and just preparing these guys for the future so that they're not just sitting there with a car after college. They're not just sitting there with a car that they paid off and then that's it.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the sad reality of buying a $50,000 car, spending all the rest of your money, and then having to live in that car that you bought because you don't have enough money for a place to stay.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we can do what a lot of people are doing, Jason, and talk about the college football playoff and who's going to make it and what's Michigan going to do without Jim Harbaugh and da-da-da-da. But what we're talking about right now is the background of all of this stuff, because they have said since the beginning of time, right? Money is the root of all evil. But yet, what is at the root of the college football playoff and the bowl season? Money. And remember Money Manziel? Remember this? and how long did this work in the NFL? How much money did he make in the NFL? How many contracts did he get in the NFL? And people looked at him and were like disgusted by this guy just being all about the money and all about himself and flashing this. And now we're promoting that. We're promoting more people to be like Johnny Manziel than to not be like Johnny Manziel, when we should be helping somebody like Johnny Manziel get educated and get focused and actually think about their future. We're going to talk about the future right after this fast break. Jay Bird's going to follow me into the bowl season, folks. And I'm going to give you a little preview here. I'm going to take the college football thing off if you thought that was a lot. This is what the bowl season looks like. That is the list. It's so big that it makes my print very tiny, but we're going to discuss what the bowl season looks like for 2024-25. If you thought the college football playoff was busy, well, let's talk about the fact that there's so many bowl games that they're probably going to be calling Jason and I, seeing if we can fill in for some of these guys. We'll be back from the Heritage Hill Studios right after this. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. You will find them 7 days a week open for you on 639 Delmar Place, right off of Teal Ave in Syracuse, and they're there Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Hockey, basketball, football, baseball, soccer, all sport, AEW, UFC, Disney Lorcana, as well as the Pokemon world can all be found while supplies last at GG Cards and Breaks. Collecting cards is it's a different thing, folks. It's a it's a different world. I can't remember what I had for lunch, but if you pull out a card and you say, what's your memory of this card? I'm like, oh, I opened that pack when I was with Anthony Campbell at GG Cards and Breaks, and we did a pack battle against each other, and this is the one that I opened, and it was probably last month that I did it, or a few weeks ago. Where'd you get that, Nolan Ryan? Oh, that's from my Uncle Bill. I got it when I think I was 14 years old, the last time I saw him. You know, there's something about the history, and I can't explain it. There's something magical about collecting cards, and there's something about doing it with your friends and your family, and it just goes a long way. It's spread through generations. It's not an accident that it's something that's been a hobby for so many of us for so long, and GG Cards and Breaks puts that personal connection onto it that just makes it all the more meaningful and special. So to Josh Gideon, to Anthony Campbell, and the entire team at GG Cards and Breaks, go out and see them. They're my sports card and trading card place of choice. I go there all the time. I was just there a couple days ago, and you could see my most recent box break brought to you by GG Cards and Breaks with 2023 Optic on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT. And on our YouTube channel, our Card Breaks has its own playlist, so you can watch all of them that we've done with GG Cards and Breaks. Head out there Monday through Saturday from 10 to 6, and on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., GG Cards and Breaks, to experience the difference. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I knew that I had my prop ready. And so, Jay Bird, again, collecting cards means a lot to me, and it's just funny how the world works. This is 12 out of 25 in the world. Former Arkansas quarterback KJ Jefferson is at UCF, and I have his autograph.
Look at there.
When
I couldn't be more excited to be a season ticket holder this year. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, you know, and Gus Malzahn, you know, he's living by his word. He said that he came to UCF to stay at UCF. This is a job that he saw as a destination, not just one of those places that's going to be on his trail. And I love that he's been committed to that. But yeah, you said KJ Jefferson, and for some reason I got this card, and you know, when I got this auto, because in the Sage packs that you can get at GG Cards and Breaks, there's an auto in every single pack. And I got him, and I was like, I don't know who KJ Jefferson is. I don't follow him. However, I'm going to put this away because, you know, who knows? And then you mention him here today, and now I have a KJ Jefferson auto for the UCF upcoming quarterback here in my studio. And I also, in my travels at GG Cards and Breaks, got a Dylan Gabriel auto too, because I felt like having one.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Dylan's going to be a first rounder for sure. So right now he's probably the top one off the board this year coming out of the draft.
Yeah, and I'm excited. Remember when you came on the show and we talked about the fact that they were discussing all of the top returning signal callers, all the top returning collegiate Division I FBS quarterbacks, and Dylan Gabriel wasn't on the list. And then he left UCF and went to Oklahoma, and all of a sudden people are like, oh my God, we discovered this quarterback out of nowhere. And it's like, no, we've known about him for years, but he put on a jersey of a school that you actually respect. So yeah, but remember, as soon as he went to Oklahoma, people were like, oh my goodness, look at this guy. And you and I were like, yeah, we've watched him play. We've interviewed him already. Did you not know that he was alive last year? So it's crazy.
He's a stud. It's anything I said earlier about the NIL. That was the NIL stuff. You know, like, not to say the kid's not a stud, because he's an absolute stud. Great human being. We loved having him at UCF. We missed him the last few years.
Yeah.
Been forever since he left. He's still in college. Yeah.
Yeah, some of these guys playing 6 and 7. There was a guy that applied for a 9th year, which I think is more than it takes to be a doctor. So, like, do you become a doctor of 2 things? Do you just, like, for giggles? Like, if I was going to be in school for 9 years, I would be like a NASA specialist. Like, I would want to be able to go to space. I would want to have a doctorate. I would want to, I mean, I don't even know at this point what I would want to have here. I'd want a Nobel Prize. I mean, 9 years in college, and I think it's a tight end that applied for it. And it's just, I mean, I was talking about quarterbacks that were in their 6th, maybe 7th year. that's insane. I mean, Dylan Gabriel, I feel like he's been in college for is this 6 for him?
Well, he started at UCF as a freshman in 2019.
Okay. So 2019, 20, 2020, 21, 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24, 24. It's 6 years. 6 years. Dylan Gabriel. My goodness. And you think that this guy is going to be a high draft pick?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What's making you believe that Dylan Gabriel's got got what it takes for the NFL?
The NFL loves guys with an accurate deep ball. They can get it there quick. He gets it out pretty quick. He's got good feet. He can get out of the pocket if you need him to. Tough as nails. He took a shot to the head last year that would have put most people out for weeks. He came back a couple weeks later, and they almost let him play the week after. Like, he was in concussion protocol, and they were like, "Is he going to play?" And he almost did. Yeah. So, yeah, no, tough as nails. I think he'll have what it takes at the next level to be a prolific passer in the NFL for sure.
Yeah, let's look at Dylan Gabriel statistically here, since many people probably won't refer to his UCF days. He, in 2019, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 3,653 yards. In 2020, 3,570 yards, 32 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. 2021, he got hurt. He had 9 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, 814 yards. Then he went to Oklahoma, 3,168 yards, 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Last year, 69, his highest completion percentage, I'll get to that in a second, 3,660 yards, 30 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Meaning that in all of his seasons outside of the season that was shortened due to injury, he has had at least 25 touchdowns. He's never had a season with double-digit interceptions ever in his history in college. And his completion percentage went from 59.3 to 60 to 68.6 in his injury year where he didn't play as much, to 62.7 to now the highest it's ever been, which is now 69.3%. And he has scored multiple touchdowns rushing in all of his 5 seasons. In order, 4, 2, 2, 6, and most recently 12 touchdowns rushing for Oklahoma, means that last season he accounted for 42 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions. This man is aging like a fine wine. And his completion percentage, which is the one thing you could knock despite all of his good numbers at UCF, is now the highest it's ever been.
He could have been the first one off the board this year.
Crazy. And the fact that he's returning for year number 6 for Oklahoma, and I don't want anybody to knock him for this. Now that Oklahoma is going to be in the SEC, please do not knock Dylan Gabriel for the fact
he's at Oregon.
Oh, no, that's right.
He's at Oregon now. Yeah, he moved again.
That is true. Because when I clicked on his stuff today, it said Oregon. So never mind that. He's at Oregon.
He was at UCLA for a minute too.
Yeah. So that means that he's going to have the opportunity to be in the West Coast division of the Big Ten. So weird. So let's see who Dylan Gabriel is going to face this season, just for giggles, before we get into the bowl season here. I just want to look at Oregon's football schedule just for my own enjoyment and personal amusement of the fact that this is their actual schedule in something that I think is going to eventually blow up all over again. So Oregon is playing Idaho, their first game. Then they play Boise State, and that's going to be at home. So that's good. They're not playing on the Smurf turf. Then they play Oregon State. Then they play UCLA. And then they get into their Big Ten schedule. They will play Michigan State. Then they'll have some time until they play OHIO. And then they'll play Purdue, Illinois, Michigan, sans Jim Harbaugh. Then they'll play Maryland, Wisconsin, and they'll end the season by playing Washington. So what are your thoughts on Dylan Gabriel, knowing that he is now going to have the opportunity to go from the American Athletic Conference to the Big 12 to now the Big 10, and he's going to have a whole slew of new teams to go up against, including the team that you said he kind of was maybe going to, which was UCLA.
Yeah. No, that sounds like a lot of W's. Sounds like I only heard 2 losses in that. If Oregon has the weapons they usually have on the outside,
yeah,
with Dylan Gabriel pulling the trigger, I haven't looked at their roster to know who's all there, but that sounds like a happy year in Oregon. They could be in that top 12 going to the playoff.
Well, in a smart move, right? Because Oregon lost Bo Nix and Troy Franklin, so why not take that and go get some Dylan Gabriel love? The thing that the NFL is going to see, without doubt, is that Oregon, or not Oregon, what they're going to see beyond doubt in the NFL is that Dylan Gabriel has played half the country. and if he wins in all, he's going to, if he wins in 3 institutions amongst 3 conferences, if you look at the Big Ten and you look at their area, which is now West Coast, Midwest, Northeast, then you look at the Big 12, which is South Middle and Southeast, and then you look at the American, which is Northeast, Southeast, Midwest. I mean, he's going to be playing teams. Essentially, Dylan Gabriel looks like an NFL quarterback because of everywhere that he has gone and where he is now at in Oregon. He is now going to be able to say that he's played the North, the South, the East, and West. He essentially is a quarterback compass going into the NFL.
He's going to have hosted Boise State in Florida on the East Coast, and he's going to host them out there in Oregon on the West Coast. When he played him here in Florida, he was a G5 quarterback, and now he's going to play him as a Power 5 quarterback.
This is so weird. None of this makes any sense. But Dylan Gabriel, if you didn't know the name, you got to know the name. And now you're going to know the name more. And I'm just going to love, watching TV. And I want him to get his accolades, and I hope he gets drafted high. It's just going to be funny now to see these people going, I discovered this guy in Oregon, Dylan Gabriel, and he's some type of, and you and I are going to be sitting there going, we discovered him 6 years ago.
2019.
He was leading the American Athletic Conference a long time. He stepped in to a bowl game having played like 2 games before because Mackenzie Milton got hurt. Like, Dylan Gabriel has been a name in college football. Whether or not people wanted to admit it, he was a name in college football 6 years ago. And if UCF was in the Big 12 6 years ago, we would have known about him for 6 years. But because they disrespect the American, as soon as he switched his jersey, people went, who's this guy? And you and I went, he's
Dylan Gabriel. So Dylan Gabriel, like, trivia.
Yeah.
Who did he complete his first touchdown pass to at UCF?
Oh my goodness. 2019, Gabe Davis.
Yeah, that's a great guess. Gabe was on the team.
Hold on, let me think. Not Gabe Davis. Oh boy.
Gabe Davis did catch the first touchdown of that game, but it wasn't from Dylan because Dylan didn't start that game.
Let me think. First touchdown. Ooh, was it Otis? Rest in peace, baby.
It was Otis. Yep. Corner of the end zone, right in front of my seats, actually.
Otis, the phenom, just force of nature, incredible player that we saw, and just an amazing talent, Otis Anderson Jr., a running back that could do everything.
The Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And God bless him in heaven. I hope Jesus is throwing you passes, and I hope you're just running. I hope you're running, man. Like, that dude is a gazelle. I still can't believe, you and I, we care about people, and we don't treat athletics like maybe some others do. So when people pass away for you and I, like, we have to, like, step back, and it just doesn't, It doesn't make sense. I remember the day that you told me that, and to me it was like, gosh, like that's not Jason losing like a teammate, or not. That's not like Jason losing somebody who he watched or whose jersey he had, or like, you know, someone he celebrated as a fan. Like that's Jason feeling like a friend passed away. You know what I mean? Like it's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We miss Otis. He had such a bright future.
Tell us something about Otis we should know. Like if we could paint a picture of Otis Anderson Jr., paint a picture for me.
You know, for me, he was just the most interactive guy that was on those UCF teams that didn't lose a game. Otis was so interactive with all of us on Twitter, which is X now. He was so interactive with the fans. He loved us all. He couldn't wait to play in front of us every week. The juice is here. He used to say he was so colorful, and he brought a confidence to the team, a swagger to the team that, you know, it was contagious from his freshman year on. He scored the touchdown that won the conference for us that first year. So, yeah, we miss Otis and think of Mama D, his mama, often. That was just a terrible thing to happen.
Yeah, and very, and we talk about, you know, we talked about parents and guardians, and not everybody has a great home life, and you know, Otis Anderson Jr. passing away from a wound to his chest from a gunshot from his father. You know, and his mother suffering multiple graze wounds and being hospitalized. Otis Anderson Jr., the same age as Ernie Davis, who had passed away from leukemia at 23 years old. Just insane. And Otis, born November 12th, 1998, and he was born in Jacksonville.
He's a Jacks guy, 904.
Yeah.
Duval. Yeah.
Yeah. Just an incredible talent, and more than that, means the world to Jason, and just a guy that we miss terribly. So Otis, you know, Jason put me around UCF. Covering the American gave me a lot of respect for UCF, and I became this fan of UCF because I defended them so vehemently with factual information that I kind of realized that I fell in love with them and the bounce house. And so to Otis Anderson Jr. and everybody that's made UCF what it's made, all the respect to each and every single one of you. UCF is an easy place to love, and Otis seems like an easy person to love. So we remember you today and always, and we celebrate you. Because Jason and I are not in this business for the number one goal of making money or notoriety or pride or so people can tell us how great we are. Jason and I are in this business to help people. And I hope that the story of Otis Anderson affects everyone in such a way so that we protect the sanctity of human life as we step forward.
Amen.
So, with that being said, God bless you, Otis, in heaven, and all of your loved ones here on earth and in heaven, in Jesus' name. Amen. When we look at the final note that we have for today, the bowl season, there's 5 billion bowl games, and I think there's more bowl games than galaxies. I'm going to read off the bowl games because they're really small on your screen, folks. I'm going to read these to you. There's the Cricket Celebration Bowl that will start things off this year on December 14th with the Camellia Bowl. The Cricket Bowl is in Atlanta, Georgia. The Camellia Bowl is in Montgomery, Alabama. Then the Boca Raton Bowl, which I was at last year, which is played at FAU Stadium. That is in Boca Raton. Wouldn't it be funny if the Boca Raton Bowl was played in like Albuquerque? Just to make people confused. But the Boca Raton Bowl, what? What are you going to say?
What a great bowl game that Boca Raton Bowl is. UCF went down there a few years ago and got blown out by Zach Wilson and BYU. In the third quarter, I was at the casino. I was like, see ya.
Yeah, there was a bunch of there was people saying, "Hey Dan, you did your shows this week at O'Brien's Irish Pub. Well, we're going to go to O'Brien's in the third quarter because we're done with this game." Understood. Definitely.
Y'all got blown out too. That's right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, South Florida by a coach that I very much respect as well. So the Boca Raton Bowl, December 17th in Boca Raton, Florida. Also December 17th, the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl, which is on my list of ridiculous names. I'm sorry, Scooters Coffee, but it's no offense to you. I just pick my favorite strange names. And that is one of them. That's in Frisco, Texas on December 17th. On the 18th, we have the LA Bowl hosted by Gronk, which used to be hosted by Jimmy Kimmel. On December 19th, we have the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl in New Orleans, Louisiana. Oh, but Inglewood is where the LA Bowl is in California. On December 20th, Orlando will have the Staff DNA Cure Bowl, which obviously has to do with cancer and finding a cure. That's on December 20th.
Shout out Alan Gooch.
What'd you say?
Shout out Alan Gooch, the organizer of the Cure Bowl, my former boss with the Predators.
Yeah. Over to the Gooch. The Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl, such a long name. That game is December 20th in Tampa, Florida. The Myrtle Beach Bowl on December 23rd at Conway, South Carolina, which is technically not Myrtle Beach, which is confusing. On December 23rd, we have the famous Idaho Potato Bowl in Boise, Idaho. On December 24th, Christmas Eve, we have the Hawaii Bowl in Honolulu, Hawaii. On December 26th, we have a new bowl called the Detroit Bowl, which has the Detroit Lions NFL logo in Detroit, Michigan, which is deeply confused me. I didn't know that NFL teams could have bowl games. On December 26th, we also have the Guaranteed Rate Bowl at Phoenix, Arizona, which I think every ticket should have a guaranteed rate that holds and should never go higher than the guaranteed rate. And then there's what the heck is this one? The 68 Ventures Bowl. 68 problems.
Mobile.
What'd you say?
It's Mobile. Wasn't this the Independence Bowl?
It might be. Yeah, this one's in Mobile, Alabama. So this is now the 68 Ventures Bowl. We have 68 problems, but a bowl ain't one. And that's in Mobile, Alabama. December 27th, there's 4 bowl games. The Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl at Fort Worth, Texas. The Birmingham Bowl in Birmingham, Alabama. We have the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. I love the Liberty Bowl in Memphis, Tennessee.
Great.
We have the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl in Vegas, Nevada. On December 28th, we have the Wasabi. This makes no sense to me. Is it are we literally saying that this is a bowl game for the stuff you put on sushi? Is that what this is?
I guess we're going to have to look it up. That's got to be a company, right?
I mean, the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. I don't know. Look it up while I'm talking about this. The Wasabi, if you don't mind, the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. I didn't mean to sound so like dictatorship. Look it up, Jason. But the Wasabi Fenway Bowl, Boston, Massachusetts. Also on December 28th, we have the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl, which used to be New Era. I was with them from the beginning, and that's at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, New York. Then we have the Isleta, New Mexico Bowl that changes its name it changes its sponsor at Albuquerque, New Mexico. Also on the 28th, we have the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Don't get me started. And that's in Orlando. I love Pop-Tarts, but that's an insane name. This name is about to get more insane. This is the longest name in the history. The Music City Bowl used to have the longest name. This game on December 28th is the longest named bowl ever, I think. Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop, is the official name of this bowl game in Tucson, Arizona. Then we have the Go Bowling Military Bowl in Annapolis, Maryland. These are all on December 28th. There's like a billion of them. The Valero Alamo Bowl in San Antonio, Texas. The Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl in Shreveport, Louisiana. Then on December 30th, we have the TransPerfect Music City Bowl in Nashville, Tennessee. The ReliaQuest Bowl on New Year's Eve in Tampa. The Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. I love Frosted Flakes, but how do you take that seriously? And that's in El Paso, Texas. Also on New Year's, we have the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl in Orlando, which used to be the Camping World Bowl, which used to be the Citrus Bowl, just be the Citrus Bowl. And then we have the Texas Bowl in Houston, Texas. Then we get into the college football playoff on New Year's Eve, the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, and on New Year's Day, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, the Rose Bowl game presented by Prudential, the All-State Sugar Bowl. I feel like I have to take a drink of water. I've done this all. I'm losing my breath. We have...
I can tell you what wasabi is if you want.
Yeah, what's the wasabi one?
So Wasabi is a technology company in Boston where you can get cloud storage. So like, I guess for your iPhone, like storage.
Yeah.
You can buy storage for starting at $6.99 a month. Shout out Wasabi. Hire me to be an influencer.
I just feel like, I don't know. When I see it, I just think of do you want wasabi ginger with your sushi? That's what I think.
And yes, I do. And actually, if you go to Kobe here in Altamont Springs, they got the white sauce to go with the wasabi, and it's pretty good on your sushi.
All I know is that it looks like guacamole, but it's savagely not.
Oh, I have been tricked.
I have been too. I was like, "What is this? This isn't a big deal. This looks like Play-Doh. How could
Give it
this
a
be
shot.
Hurtful to me?" What'd you say?
It's guac. Give it a shot. I almost died. I was probably like 13.
Oh,
My
yeah.
friend's dad
I
pulled that
took a
joke
good
on me.
old scoop of that, and I don't even remember how I lived past that day. I think I blacked out.
Yeah. Oh.
January 2nd, we have the Tex Slayer Gator Bowl played at the wonderful Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida, home of the Jaguars. Then we'd have
Under construction.
Yes, it is. Then we have the Surf Pro First Responder Bowl in Dallas, Texas on January 3rd. Also on January 3rd, we have the Duke's Mayo Bowl. And this is disgusting, by the way. When you win, they don't put Gatorade on you. They dump mayonnaise on you. And I will
watered down mayonnaise.
I will tell you my relationship with mayonnaise since you asked, but you didn't. My relationship with mayonnaise is as follows. I do not like the smell of it. I don't like the look of it. I don't like that it was created. However, when I'm making tuna, I have to put mayonnaise in it. And I put the least amount to make the tuna able to like digest and swallow. But there is nothing about mayonnaise, especially warm mayonnaise. If I was on the sideline and you dumped the mayonnaise on me and I was the head coach, I would be vomiting in the middle of that. Like, I can't smell it. I cannot smell mayonnaise. I can't. It's warm and it's goopy and it's disgusting. And I'm sure Duke's Mayo will never be a sponsor of the show, and I'm okay with that. Charlotte, North Carolina on January 3rd. Then we have the Bahamas Bowl in Nassau, Bahamas. I've been out there. Not to the bowl game, but to the Bahamas. That's on January 4th. And then we have a to-be-determined DirecTV Holiday Bowl in San Diego, California. And then we have the Capital One Orange Bowl, Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, and the College Football Playoff National Championship. And then on January 30th, we have the East-West Shrine Bowl game that's on the NFL Network. So honestly, besides Wasabi, 68 Ventures, and what was the other one that I had? Scooter's Coffee, Frisco, and then the Snoop Dogg outrageously long name. They've gotten rid of a lot of the crazy named bowl games that I used to have fun with here on the show. Maybe they heard the show and they're like, don't do it, because Dan went off for like 13 minutes. So what are your thoughts, Jason, now that I just spent 48 minutes of our time literally just reading the schedule?
Yeah, bowl season's going to be real busy because you know, obviously you didn't go over the other bowls that are going to be going on at that same time. We went over them earlier, but like, it's going to be busy, man. It's going to be a lot of football to watch. It's going to be a good time. I always enjoy sitting and watching them, especially now that I work from home. I can just put a game on while I work.
I'm looking at it right now, and I want to see if it's the same as what it was before. Now that we have the expanded, because the expanded playoff keeps the bowl game. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So 22 plus 21. There's 40, including the College Football Playoff National Championship. There's 40 3 games. If you take out the national championship and you just count the bowl games that are part of the rotation, there's 42, which means there's 84 teams. And it's the only thing collegiately or professionally where more than 60% go to the postseason. There's 136 Division I A FBS teams, and 84 of them go. Like or dislike the fact that more than half of college football plays in a bowl game, including teams that are 6-6, 5-7, and 1 year 4-8.
Are you listening?
Yeah.
I love it. The more, the better. The kids get to travel. They get all kind of bowl gifts. You know, if you come to any of the Orlando games, they take you to Disney for free. Like, it's great. Bowl trips are great. The bowls, most of them do it right. The first class.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to have them. Maybe you don't want to travel and watch your team play. That's your business.
Yeah, I mean, I think what people don't notice about this when they say there's too many bowl games is that, like you said, bowl games give you gifts. There's typically a week of events. There's an extra few weeks, if not a month, of practice. So the teams get more practice. The school gets money from being in the bowl game. You get to see your young talent. And you get more time with the future of your team, hopefully, now that we have the transfer portal. But we get to see more time with the future of your team. If guys sit out, you get more experience. You get more time in practice. You get another game on the field. You get money. You get travel. A bunch of these locations are warm weather locations. Some of them are exotic, like Hawaii and the Bahamas. And you get gifts, which is awesome. And I get a place to go in December that's typically warm.
I've been to the Gasparilla Bowl 4 times. UCF's been in the Gasparilla Bowl, I think, 5 times. I missed one because I had to work. But, like, I was there when we beat Florida. I was there at all the other ones that we lost. And then I think we beat Ball State in it once.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's...
With Bortles.
Yeah. Bortles, that UCF team that didn't belong anywhere, yet went to the Fiesta Bowl and just slammed Baylor and did all of these things throughout their history. I want to really quick, Jay, because you brought up UCF and you brought up Florida. I want to just look at UCF's future schedule because UCF has put some things on the map here. This season, they're going to play Florida in a non-conference game, Big 12 versus the SEC. UCF will be at Florida on October 5th. So they'll be traveling from Orlando to Gainesville. And is that the only one? Oh, yeah. And then in 2030, the Florida Gators will come to Orlando to face UCF in the Bounce House. And then in 2033, UCF will go back to Florida to face the Gators in Gainesville. So the fact that Florida is finally on the schedule and the fact that very recently you just defeated the Florida Gators in the Gasparilla Bowl speaking of UCF, can we now put to bed this whole UCF doesn't want to play Florida?
Well, yeah, since it's on the schedule. But, yeah, looking forward to that trip. Good buddy of mine, me, him, his dad, his mom, used to always go to Florida games. And, you know, I'm trying to fly him in from Iowa, make sure he comes in and we can all go to that game together. It's kind of like a full circle because UCF was just the little brother back then.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's crazy because I think there's a lot of Gator fans that would rather burn the swamp to the ground than watch UCF go in there and win a ball game. So it's going to be an interesting day, October 5th. If UCF, I mean, KJ Jefferson went in there as Arkansas's quarterback and won last season.
Yeah.
So look it up. He went in there and won last season, so it's not like he doesn't know how to read their defense or what's coming and how to use, you know, Kobe Hudson and the weapons he's going to have. RJ Harvey, top 5 running back, coming back for another season. So
yeah, and we look
at got a good shot.
And when people are saying, you know, how did South Florida speaking of another team, how did South Florida blow out Syracuse, who didn't have their quarterback, didn't have their top receiver / tight end. Some of their coaching staff was gone. A bunch of guys, the guys were transferring out, guys weren't playing, and South Florida had, a relative full go. That was the team that almost defeated Alabama last season in a close game. And that team, that South Florida team, will play the Gators in 2025 in Gainesville because they have a series going on. And I just love seeing South Florida as well as Central Florida play the Florida Gators. I just think it's awesome. And, I mean, Billy Napier, he's going to have to figure something out, Jay Bird, because if he doesn't do it this season, I can't imagine. And this is not me wishing bad on him. This is just the SEC. I can't see Napier being the coach if he doesn't get it done this year.
Me either. I don't know if he makes it the whole season, to be honest with you. Like, if they're, the Gators always sign 5 stars. They've always got the best top 5, top 2, 3 recruiting class, whatever it is. Yeah. If you can't do it with that kind of talent, and unfortunately that's been their problem. The Gators have dismissed coaches year after year, and they don't let them build anything.
Yeah.
I go back to Jim McElwain, who went to 3 back-to-back SEC title games and couldn't beat Saban. Join the freaking club. They fired him.
Right. And that's the thing is, like, if you can't beat Alabama in your first 3 years, you get fired. And even if you do, Jimbo Fisher, beat Alabama at some point, you still get let go. And, I mean, the whole mentality is if a coach is hired to the SEC, and now maybe it's Georgia and not Alabama, but if you're hired to the SEC and you don't beat Georgia or Alabama, don't win an SEC championship, and don't win a national title, you're going to get fired.
Yep.
But almost none of the teams do that. Alabama lost it was 4 games in 4 years, just something ridiculous. And it's like when you look back on this and say, if that's what you need to do, if you have to beat Alabama, win an SEC championship, and go to the college football playoff, then almost every single coach is going to be fired. And I said when Jimbo Fisher left Florida State, I said Florida State would probably, in my opinion, never fire him, build a statue of him, and he would make more money than he would make at Texas A&M over time in the longevity of a career where he could retire and always be regarded as one of the greatest, if not the greatest coach at Florida State. Instead, you take the short-term money from Texas A&M, you do good work, you have top recruiting classes, you beat Nick Saban, you should have been in the college football playoff a couple of years ago, and they still didn't value Jimbo Fisher.
Yep.
That's the SEC for you, though.
That is.
So with that being said, plenty of college football and collegiate talk. A lot of things to talk about here. Jerry said that the sponsor cities make a ton of money with the bowl games too, and all of those local businesses. So don't forget about the extreme awesome support that they get, like O'Brien's Irish Pub. I mean, for goodness sakes, we went down there to do the show. We brought in Syracuse football alumni. There was USF and Syracuse fans there. So don't forget about that piece of it as well that came to Boca Raton and goes to all these cities and towns. With that being said, sports and entertainment vet Jason Lucas here with me. Jason, you get the final word. What do you want to share with people about what you're doing in your life and the things that people should know about the current goings-on of Jason Lucas?
Oh, it's just same old weight loss reels on Instagram with Doctors RX Solutions. If anybody's looking to get on some semaglutide and lose some weight for the summer, come check us out. That's work-wise what I'm doing. It's summertime, the kids are home, all that good stuff. Daddy daycare.
Yeah.
So just staying busy with the kids and trying to keep them active this summer. I don't want them just sitting around, so I'm trying to keep them active and having good times. So we're over here at my mom's house and they're swimming.
Yeah. Awesome stuff to Gracie and Carly and Carter up in heaven. Shout out to my nephew and my 2 nieces, and shout out to you.
10th birthday's a week away.
Yeah. So big time shout out to what's coming up here for Mr. Carter James and to the whole family. Love you, Jay Bird, and I'll talk with you soon.
Love you, Dano. Take it easy.
See you, buddy. That coming from Jason Lucas here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us, and we want to welcome you always to the show Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Of course, we went long today, and rightly so. A lot of things to talk about. Appreciate your patience and appreciate you sticking with us. YouTube.com and Facebook.com are both /WakeUpCallDT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com you could find us here with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora worldwide, where sports meets life, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can also find the show by going to Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And of course, you can visit our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York: Heritage Hill Brewhouse, Heritage Hill North, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Avicoli's, K9 Kamp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, K9 Kampground Dog Boarding, Pizza Man, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Great Lakes Honda City, and Mother's Cupboard. And of course, we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It is Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find our specials, AD and DT, as well as the Dolphin Dive, speaking with leadership as well as student athletes, coaches, the administrations, when we talk about leadership, future Dolphins, and alumni, all here on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. You can find your Dolphins on youtube.com /WakeUpCallDT. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell. Our Lemoyne playlist is there, and you can also find the Dolphins on WakeUpCallDT.com on the homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com, and as always, Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bobcats with the Bobcat Buzz every single month exclusively on Wake Up Call with our Spotlight on the Bobcats. They have 2 campuses, and you can find them on James Street in Syracuse, New York, and you can also find them by going to Route 57 in Liverpool, right across the street from Avicoli's. Find both of their locations here in our community with the Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. And you can find men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball, as well as baseball and esports right here all throughout the year with the Bobcat Buzz. And all of our content with the Bobcats is on youtube.com /WakeUpCallDT. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and get the BSC Syracuse playlist on our YouTube channel. You can also find the Bobcats by going to by going to WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bearcats every Tuesday during Bearcat Time at 10 a.m. Eastern Time weekly, where we have our specials each month, Moments with Marshall, featuring Gene Marshall, the Binghamton University Athletics Director, giving us a behind-the-scenes look at Binghamton University and the athletic department, and the Bearcat Break Room with student athletes, coaches, and administration coming to you all throughout the year. You can find all of our content by going to youtube.com /WakeUpCallDT. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. The Binghamton University playlist is there on our YouTube channel. You can also find the Bearcats by going to WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage and the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to BUBearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Inside of MonPazPopcorn.com is what's poppin'. The annoying moment of the week, thanks to Carvel DeWitt. Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay bringing you Lead, Learn, Evolve, ad lib, and deliver. The top dog of the week coming to you from K9 Camp Dog Daycare and K9 Kampground Dog Boarding, and college football playoff, bowl season, and collegiate athletic talk with sports and entertainment veteran Mr. Jason Lucas, who is a brother to me that I love and care for very deeply. Heritage Hill is our exclusive studio partner. Find the Heritage Hill Brewhouse in Pompey, New York on Sweet Road, and find Heritage Hill North on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse. We look forward to talking with you soon. Follow us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. And as always, God bless, no show. Or no show. I was looking at good show here. So God bless, no stress. Thanks, Jerry. I'm reading while I'm talking. God bless, no stress. Do your best. Have a phenomenal day. I'll talk with you all soon. Be well.